Is it going?
Yeah. Good evening. Yeah, we're on. Like, we're just waiting on Instagram.
Did you see the logo up?
Oh, good. Good evening, everyone. We're here for our whiskey tasting session and gin tasting session, because today is World Gin Day. So I'm going to be drinking gin and Helmut's going to be drinking whiskey. So that is the plan. And I think I'm still connected to the car. I am. Whoopsie daisy. No wonder my thing was acting up.
Well, let me quickly...
Do you want to go get me a glass with my gin? He's like that. I don't know. Hi, Helen. Just forgive me a wee second. Just with a glass, that would be great. So tonight we're doing whiskey tasting, and we've got, can all see the dog? Sasha's in. Hi, Sashi. Yeah, she's in. And we are going to be, hi McGowan's, we're going to be trying some whiskey. So I've got different gin here as well, but I've also got my cans of gin because...
Well, you're not having the cans of gin.
Why not?
Because you've got 3 gins there to go through. Yeah.
There was one that looked really good. Hi, Graham. And Jean-Philippe, you are here on time. So I have got the Hollywood gin. Oh, there's no sound. Oh no, Helen can hear. I think it's just you, Stuart.
Hello, Stuart!
Oh, terrible. And hi, Hugh. So anyway, I just want to quickly say, can you guys hear me here now on yeah, Helen can hear us. So let's just have a quick kickaboo here. And I'm hoping my pal Pamela comes in, because I was messaging her because I'm kind of missing all my wee pals. Let me just share this as well, because this is a good one. I think you all enjoy a wee bit of whiskey tasting. Try turning up your volume. On our volume or your volume? Now I'm confused. Can everybody hear us? Hi, Katya. Oh, and everybody can hear on Instagram. This is always the case. There's always a strange thing that happens either on Facebook or YouTube or on Instagram. And usually it's Instagram. Hi, Fleming. So anyway, we've got our gins, because I'm the gin drinker in the house. Okay, cheers, Helen. I'm the gin drinker. So this is the Hollywood gin that I was gifted here. And this one I got like ages ago. It's even got dust on it because I never drink it. It's just the Hendrick's gin. So I've got some of that. Another distilled and bottled in Scotland. Hi, Patty. And we've got my favourite here. Oh God, look. I think this is the second bottle. That's not very good. I've got a little bit of botanist left. Okay, so we've got the botanist. In terms of whiskey, let's just, hi Jackie. In terms of whiskey, we have got... We haven't even started yet. It was you.
Oh, no, it's not. I see what the problem is.
We're not.
No, this is too short. Not even,
okay, well, we're not. I don't know.
No, this is. Okay, this is too
it's
short.
not. It's not that no one can see us on Facebook. The camera's drunk. I don't know what that does. Okay, so like crack me up.
Instagram.
Instagram is fine.
That's the one that
Instagram is
fell.
fine. Instagram fell. Instagram fell and knocked out Facebook. Anyway, as I was saying, it's kind of gone a bit funny. Like, how do we pick this up a wee bit? Helmet, because it kind of fell off. Anyway, right, that's a bit better. So we've got the Ugadal. So we've got an Ardbeg. Hi, Sandy. Nice to have you on. And that's great. And then we've got here, did I say this already? The Arran. We've got a wee Arran here. This is the peated Arran malt, the Macri Moor. So we've got some peated Arran, which is kind of rare. Like, a lot of people don't always have
The helmet, the Catriona and helmet show.
Yeah.
This is the Catriona show. I'm just the sidekick.
No. Was that an outtake? That was a hilarious outtake. Anyway, so this is a product of Scotland, yeah. And what else do we have here, Helmet?
Well,
you explain, because I'm going to go get. While Helmet explains this, you still have no audio, Malcolm. You still have no audio, Stuart. I don't know what's happening to you. I think it must be on your computer. Maybe stick your headphones in. We used to deal with technical support.
Yeah, but we're not IT anymore.
We're not IT anymore. Sorry. But I'm going to go and get the face masks that I wanted to show you that my mum made for us.
So this is a sad day, actually, because we are sitting here. And one of the reasons I brought this one out is because this is literally one of my favorites. And we should have been on Isla, by the third time by now?
Yeah.
We would have been on Isla 3 times by now. And I know that Ardbeg has got a new one out as well. Well, thank you, Jackie. At least someone recognizes that fact. Thank you very much. She's saying I always add a bit of class, but I think it was more dig than anything else, like sarcasm. So I've got 2 others here, and I would have taken what I consider good friends to Isla this year. So much so that he sent me a box full of little tasters from a distillery in Germany called Glen Eltz. And I've only managed to go through about 3 of them. So I was going to try these today, actually, while we're here. Mm-hmm. So Kai, if you're watching, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
I wish this was on an island right now.
And Kai's going to be a daddy.
That's right.
So just before we continue, because everybody's been asking about the masks, I've been inundated with mask requests, so that's really good. My mum's going to be very busy. She's at work just now. But this is one of the guy ones. This is one of the guy masks that she made for Helmet. And you can see, like, I'm obviously a woman. It's too big for my face. But see if it fits your face. It's probably a bit big for you because you've got a wee head. Yeah. So, I mean, it works. But this is my favourite. It's actually the kids' one. And what she's done is she's put 2 elastic bands on it. And this is the child's one. And I wear the child's one.
It's for the childish ones.
The childish ones, yeah. Let's put it on. I'm not even gonna attempt that. But look, it just goes like that. And this is like a Mickey Mouse one that she's done. So there you have it.
Yeah, Tony, I've not had the privilege yet. I know it's out. I have been looking at everybody who's posting their fantastic bottles, and I've not tasted it or anything yet, unfortunately.
I'm going to start with my botanist because it is my absolute favourite. So yeah, it's Wingin Day. It's Wingin. It's always Wingin in my house.
Winchin or Wingin?
Winchin. Nobody here knows what Winchin means, I don't think. Is this your class?
Well, there's a few that do.
Do you know what Winchin means? Well, I think a few of you do. The gin. This is the Whisky. Oh God. The World Gin Day. World Gin Day. That's it. Gin World. What?
World Gin Day.
Is it World Gin Day? I'm thinking Gin World Day. No. World Gin Day. And I am drinking gin and Helmut's drinking the whiskey because I know not everybody likes whiskey, and that's fine. You don't have to like it. We're not going to force you to like it in Scotland, and we still like a lot of gin here.
Okay.
So he'll make you like whiskey because he's the only one who'll like whiskey. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You carry on.
But this proves Jackie's point here that
you bring the class.
That I bring the class. This is a Nutella glass which is empty, and that's now where she chucks her gin in with some mixer, and I've got a proper little Ardbeg tasting glass. So
sugar, right? Oh
yeah.
No.
It?
I think so. So Sandy likes his whiskey.
There's some water as well. No?
I obviously promoted this post today. I was over at where was I? I was over at Loch Fyne last year. Loch Fyne Whiskies, which is in Inverary, and that's where that Macallan was purchased. There was also a Glenmorangie purchased. I think that was a 25-year-old Glenmorangie as well, and a Bunnahabhain. I can't remember what the Bunnahabhain was. Phyllis Bristow. Oh, okay. Sorry, Patty. I was like, what's happening here? Okay, so Helmut's got what are you drinking there?
Ugadal.
He's drinking Ugadal, so that's one of the nice. Is that your favorite one?
It's one of my favorites from
Ardbeg. So Ardbeg Distillery is on the island of Islay. Could I switch that off?
Where's that sound coming from?
Is it coming? Do you know what? It might be coming from me.
You've probably got it.
So it's one of the Islay distilleries. It's really peaty, Ardbeg. I think anyway, it's one of the more peaty ones.
Yeah.
And it's.
You go first about your gin.
Well, I'm talking about that first. So, and then you've got Lagavulin and Laphroaig are quite close to Ardbeg. You'll have heard us talking about Ardbeg in the past. When we go to Ardbeg, it's usually we go there for their table tasting. They do a really good table tasting, and when you're in that particular part of Islay, they're good because they have a restaurant. Unlike the other two distilleries, Laphroaig only has, well, maybe it's Laphroaig up. I mean, Laphroaig has their bar, which they fixed up, and you could get ice cream there actually. Last time I was there.
Where?
At Laphroaig. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got ice cream the last time I was there. And then you have Lagavulin, who I go there for their wee hot chocolate. Who goes to a whiskey distillery to drink hot chocolate? I do. But Ardbeg are quite good because they have a really nice restaurant.
In the old kiln room.
In the old kiln room.
They changed the old kiln where they used to burn the peat to make this lovely peaty stuff, and they turned it into a kiln room, into a cafe.
So while we're talking about Islay, that's what I'm drinking tonight. I'm drinking a Botanist gin, and the Botanist is from the Bruichladdich distillery. So if you go to Bruichladdich, you get a lot about the Botanist there as well. I think I've got everything to do with the Botanist because I'm such a big fan of the Botanist. The Botanist was the first proper gin I liked, I think, because it's just so much. Like, I know I say this all the time, but if you do drink the Botanist, it is so much better than all of them. Like even Harris gin, Barra gin. The only one that actually comes close to it is the one from North Uist, which is North Star or something like that. It's called Northern. Anyway, I'll get that in a second. But that's the only one that kind of comes close to the Botanist for me. So if you like gin, you have to buy it. It's a little bit more expensive. Even here, I spend about, well,
£43.
well, I think I have spent as little as £38,
Yeah.
which is close enough to £40. And I think that was probably at Bruichladdich itself. But my granny went for my Christmas, and she said, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I said, "Just get me a botanist." And then I had her on the phone as soon as she'd bought it, because she doesn't give any surprises away. And she phoned me and she went, £40. But she still bought it for me. So thanks, Gran. I think I had 2 bottles. Now I have this much left out of both of them. So I'm not an alcoholic or anything.
Not yet.
Not yet. But anyway. So that's a little bit about the botanist. The botanist, what's it, Big Bess, what's it called?
Yeah, Bessie, the still that they bought from down south, brought it up to make their gin.
So there you have it. So
it's basically like making tea, making gin, just with alcohol.
It's just so much better. I mean, we went to because we're kind of focusing on gin at the moment. If you go up to Harris, I like Harris gin because Harris, they do the sugar kelp, which is the water that you add with the gin, which is quite nice. Sorry, Jackie's just saying, I'm having the Catriona Botanist gin concoction in a whiskey glass I made for myself in black glass Blinka.
Well, there you go. That is class.
Jackie would do that, but Jackie, Mamacita, you like your gin green? What does that even mean? Does that mean you like Alco Pops? Usually that's vodka though. I used to like one of my favorite drinks before, obviously, I became a gin drinker and a cider drinker, because I don't really drink anything else. I don't really like vodka. I don't really drink wine at all. I drink gin, martini. I drink martinis as well. Martini and lemonade, which is a granny drink. But the first drink I used to drink was a Green Reef. Oh, it's a tea reference. All right. Sorry. Well, but late. We're a bit slow tonight. We've been working a lot. You need to give it a go. But anyway, I was talking until you changed my train of thought there, Christopher. I was talking about the Harris gin. When you go to Harris, they've got one of the best. Bless you. They've got one of. You can't even mute this.
Right.
Like go away somewhere. Anyway.
The dog's scared.
Yeah, poor Sasha.
All right, Sash.
When you go to Harris, they've got one of the better tours. Like, I think their tour at the Harris distillery is amazing, isn't it? But they're going to have some good whiskey as well, I think.
I think they're going to have amazing whiskey.
Because that's what they do.
If
you go to Harris, this is probably why Bruichladdich do it as well. Because remember, making whiskey is a very, very, very expensive process. So it takes a long time, like a minimum of 3 years and 1 day to mature in an oak barrel. So that's a lot of time and a lot of rent that you're paying for space that you're not going to make anything for at least 3 years and 1 day. And very few distilleries will release that. It's just the delayed response. Everybody saying bless you. Even up here, I sneeze like too, no worries. You've not heard me sneeze yet, which is quite funny. But if you have
move up a little bit so they can see poor Sasha. She's like the prettiest face here.
If you have whiskey maturing for that long, you want it to go for at least 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, years before you take it out of the cask. So it's a very expensive business to be in. It's like an investment business. You don't really make your money straight away. So what a lot of the distilleries are doing to kind of fund their enterprise of making whiskey, which is my eventual dream one day, and that's what I really want to be doing. But they make gin. So they make gin because it's a faster turnover and they can sell it very quickly. And it's popular at the moment. Everybody's drinking gin. So it's a really easy way to try and make some money while they're waiting for their whiskey. And a lot of the newer distilleries are doing it. Bruichladdich is an interesting one because when did Bruichladdich reopen again? Was it 2001?
No. It was somewhere in the 90s.
Yeah, but I think they fixed the distillery, and that's when.
Yeah. There was
that time.
They closed for like 2 decades, and then they opened, and then they kind of shut shortly, and then they opened again.
Yeah. So Bruichladdich were really clever in getting the gin going, and they did a really good job. It's probably one of the better gins on the market. So there you go. Does anyone else want to come in? Because you can actually come into this. You don't have to just look at us. We can bring any of you into our chat.
I wanted to quickly respond to one of these. So Kim, you said you're drinking a Dewar's white label. Need to take her to Aberfeldy. They have in their visitor center at Dewar's, they have the desk of your poet,
Robert
Burns, and all these little scribbles in the desk and everything. It's a really special place, and because they're a blender essentially, they they also give you like blending classes and stuff like that.
It's actually quite a few places that do really good blending classes. I'll tell you who does it. It's Strathisla.
And Glengoyne does it too.
No, Glengoyne does they do the how they marry the different single malts together from their own distillery. But Strathisla, because it's owned by, is it Grants? No, it's not. Chivas has it, and they're a big blend distiller. And they
Why is Stuart saying these? Nice to see the both of us. You say you're not drinking. There's only one of us here.
What?
Sorry, it's a complicated joke. Forget about it. It's a complicated
I've
one.
got to put up with this. Like, honestly, I've literally got to put up with this. So, what else was that? Yeah, so if you go to Chivas, you can get a really good, or Chivas, if you go to Strathisla, which is on the Speyside route. So if you're up in the Speyside region, you can get a really nice blended experience. I think it was 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's a long class.
It's quite involved.
Yeah.
It looks like a Victorian lab because you can see it through the glass. It looks like a Victorian lab with all the stuff sitting there. It looks kind of ominous, really.
I love it. Janie's like, that was funny. Which one? She said your joke was funny.
Yeah.
It's
only
totally
people that don't
not.
get them don't find them funny.
Yeah, right. So you're going to talk about your whiskey. I've spoken a bit about my gin. I'll go back into the gin when I pour my next one.
Okay, well, what I've actually done is I actually pulled up the website for Ardbeg. And as always, you feel like a child because you got to put in your date of birth details. You first feel like a child because they're asking you, and then you feel really old because you got to put in your
2 seconds.
Your age.
Jackie, do you want to come into our chat?
Awesome.
Jackie, I want you to come into my chat. I've not seen your face in ages. Oh, how did I do that? Look at that.
Yeah. If you click on somebody,
What?
If you click on them, then they're
sorry, guys.
comment
I've
pops
just
up.
found a really cool thing in Facebook.
So if you're commenting on somebody, you can bring up their
so
comment.
how do I invite? Oh, I invite Jackie.
Yeah, you click on invite. You take that URL.
Uh-huh.
Copy to clipboard, and
Right.
send her that in any sort of message. Or
Can I just not put it here, and people want to join, we'll just let them in?
if you put in there, anybody can join. So if you trust these folk,
do we trust you guys? How do you reply to it? But because I don't know how to reply.
You don't have to. And also it doesn't work because you're streaming to different things.
Okay, well, maybe I don't want to do that. Jackie, I might... Oh, you're in for blended class. Oh, Jackie,
yeah.
I was pure excited there. How do I... Oh, there we go. I moved you off. Who wants to come in live with us? Come on, don't be shy. It's not that scary. You've got to see us. That's the scariest thing.
Can give us. What are you drinking? Tea, coffee, or water at the moment? Or warm milk? Don't drink.
Oh,
anyway,
Jackie's...
well, they decide who's coming in.
Yes,
I deliberately pulled this up because this is the Uigedail is literally one of my favorite whiskeys, not just one of my favorite Ardbeg whiskeys. And so I pulled it up because I don't like talking about notes because I just like the whiskey. I don't care for going in depth in all the different things that you taste in it. But there is a couple of important things about the Uigedail. Firstly, it's a fairly strong whiskey. It's about 50%.
Do you want to come in because no one on Instagram can see you? Right, I'll just move over here.
Anyway, so one of the important things about Uigedail, it's a fairly recent one in terms of whiskies. And if anybody knows who Jim Murray is somebody that people are falling out of love with. He's one of these guys who... But sorry, it's difficult. Anyway.
No, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Kim. Sorry. Right, I'll just swap sides with you.
No, it's fine.
So you sit here.
Just turn that a bit. That's fine, honey. It's all good. Just turn that a bit. There you go. That charger is kind of like balanced. Anyway, Jim Murray is the guy who writes the yearly whiskey Bible, and he goes around and he flames and criticizes whiskeys all over the place all the time, and everybody's scared about what he's going to say and not say. He's kind of like, one of the big shots. And so there's been some criticism about who's he to say what whiskey is good and not. So, but at the same time, he basically said that it's the best whiskey of that year, but it was also a prize winner on top of that. So the color, I should have thought about this because I took this glass because I like it so much, but you can't see the color because it's a green glass.
Well, quickly.
Maybe if I pour it, if you put your head up and I pour it in, and while it drips in, they can see the color. Yeah?
Really?
Well, anyway. Okay.
Really?
So the color is deepest gold. Okay, deepest gold. Rich. The aroma is rich, weighty, with heady and smoky aromatics. Full strength. Initial aroma is Bigwillic mix of warm Christmas cake. See, this is why I don't like the notes, because they get really over the top fancy with stuff.
It tastes like Christmas in your mouth.
Beguiling mix of warm Christmas cake.
Do you know what it tastes like, guys? Just quickly, do you know what it actually tastes like? It just tastes like you're licking peat. That's what it tastes like. They tried to tell you it doesn't taste like anything else. Yeah, and it literally tastes like you're licking peat.
It's funny how you say that's like it's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. I love peat, but the thing is, I had a customer once, and we were up at Glen Ord Distillery up near Inverness, and they are another Diageo distillery, so they have other whiskies from their distilleries. Sorry, I'm just going to try and move this in like that. Yeah. So they have a lot of that there, and the guy goes up to the bar and he's trying another whiskey from the Diageo's what would you say, collection, and I don't know, he chose something peaty, and forgive me, I can't remember what it was, but he said, oh, Sasha's like that. I'm off.
Jackie keeps asking, is this strong equals peat? It's strong. The beautiful thing about these is
means
that
alcoholic.
No, it means it's heavy. So quite oily, typical kind of Islay oily, heavy whiskey. that retains a lot of these flavors, and it's really rich and full, and then obviously quite peaty. And when it comes to some of these notes that they explain as quite standard for Ardbeg or good Islay whiskies, it's just that what makes Uigeadail, in my opinion, so good is that all of these flavors that we associate with Ardbeg and with Islay, the rich kind of fruitcake and raisin, the kind of sherry, the peat, all of this is there, but it's balanced. It's not one of them which stands out. So it's like having, in my opinion, all of Islay's whiskey in one glass at the same time, which is, to me, obviously a really good thing.
Well, that's what I was going to quickly say with the guy up in Glenorden. He tried, and it could have been a Lagavulin for all I know. And for all I remember. And he said, and he was a surgeon, and he said it reminded him of formaldehyde.
Yeah, but formaldehyde is one of the flavors that most people associate not just with peaty whiskey, but also with whiskey because of the strong alcohol.
Well, I don't know. He
what
said
they mean
it just
is
reminds.
it reminds them of alcohol.
He said it was the peat. It was literally the peat, because he loved whiskey. He loved Scotch, and I got him to try a peaty whiskey because he was more accustomed to your kind of Glenfiddichs and your kind of smoother whiskies, and this is the Uigeadail. Do you want to show them the bottle quickly again? So that's the Uigeadail, and I'll just show the guys. There we have it. So that's just in case you want to see if you can get a hold of this one. It's very good.
It's price. To me, it's a bit like the Toicha Chada. It's one of those. Well, the Toicha that's up there. It's actually the Toicha Chada is actually cheaper, but
which is a Bunnahabhain.
But it's that same way. It's difficult to find a better quality tasting whiskey. Now, obviously, if you like it or not, that's a tasting. But from a complexity, balanced, perceived quality point of view, it's probably one of the cheapest and
no
best.
Problem, Lynette. See you soon. Just quickly, we were just talking about when you go to Islay. Last month was the Islay Feis, which is their jazz festival that's become a whiskey and jazz festival. And each distillery has a special release for the festival. So they'll do a special Feis release. I'm turning into Sean Connery. But the thing is that we are usually there just before the Feis. So when Tony there said about the Ardbeg Black, we've not managed to get our hands on. This is very rare for us because we always buy at the distillery, because usually you'll find you'll get it cheaper, and or some of the auctions. I'll sometimes buy whiskey on the auction. But the thing is, the auction just recently opened like 2 weeks ago now. It's like really not that long ago. So we are literally dying to taste the new Feis releases. So if Lafroig or Ardbeg or any of you guys are
happy to review.
We'll be happy to review you. Just send us a bottle. Guys, we've done that before. We have been sent bottles in the past to review and to even give away as gifts, as prizes and things. So it's not unheard of. So if anyone from any of the distilleries are watching,
it's difficult to part with him, though, isn't it?
I know he doesn't like parting with them, but
I mean, unless whoever gets them is happy for them to have been opened.
Yeah, has to taste it first, just to make sure it's actually authentic whiskey.
It's authentic. It's not poisoned.
Well, no, because
it's not off.
The thing is, within the whiskey auction world, faking is a thing, because you might buy a really expensive bottle of whiskey. When I say expensive, I'm talking about from about £200. So you'll say, oh, look, I've got this bottle here, £200. And you've just poured something else into it.
Yeah.
And you've sold it for 250, 350, and way, 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 way up. There was a thing about it on that program with the bald guy, the dealers, the dodgy dealers.
Yeah.
I forget what that's called.
Kim, so I think that's going to change, and I think it's already changed.
No problem, Lynette.
Some of the distilleries now, the bourbon ones, are aging longer. They're doing a lot more things, and the ones that aren't, you can always put coconut, so no problem.
Hi, Crystal. So John just said peated whiskey is given a smoky flavour by the compounds. You're very, very posh tonight, very swanky tonight, John.
It's copy and pasted.
Sorry, John. But yeah, so when you have a peated whiskey opposed to a non-peated whiskey, it's how they malt the barley. So when you take barley, they need to just get it to just before its fermentation process, so it just starts to get there.
Hi, Crystal.
And usually, in peated areas in Scotland, their main fuel source in the past would have been peat. That's how they would have made their fires, which is why they would have peaty whiskey from those areas, and why other places which peat isn't so common does not have the peaty flavour. So it comes from the malted barley. Peat isn't actually added to make any extra flavour. It's just that process of malting the barley which gives it that flavour that you get. And now I'm going to be really cheeky here because Google is your friend.
It's completely correct, but obviously modern times have changed it a bit, because in the olden days they would use fires, and therefore a lot of the smoke and from the peat and stuff would get into the barley that way. Nowadays they do it to precision. So if you buy your barley in for your peated whiskey, for example, you tell the malter, you say, I wanted 20 ppm phenols, or I wanted 50, or I wanted so you can be much more precise with modern techniques. So if Artbeck says, I want to make my next batch to be a certain parts per million phenols, then they can have it ordered exactly the way they want it. So it's not just a guessing game anymore.
Yeah. So I am now drinking a Marks and Spencer's gin, but I got it just because I wanted a wee bit of something like different tonight. So I got a blackberry and gin bramble. Sorry, a blackberry gin bramble.
That they probably mean blackberry and gin and bramble gin.
No, but they put it in the wrong order.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So it doesn't say what type of gin, because what you'll find is a lot of supermarkets. So Marks and Spencer's in the UK is supermarket of sorts. And the same will happen with Tesco's and Lidl and Aldi. Is what they'll do is they'll buy casks or barrels of whatever, and they'll just rebrand it themselves. So that's essentially what's happening. A lot of people ask me about the Sassenach whiskey with Sam Hewen. Essentially, that is a blended malt, but he doesn't own a distillery in Scotland. He has taken on different whiskies from different distilleries, and he's come up with this blend. And the same can be said even for a single malt. So Helmut and I can say, in fact, you can do it. You can do it. In fact, a lot of our guests have done that in the past. You had the Swedish Whisky Association at Glengoyne, wasn't it? Yeah. And they bought their own barrel. What you can do is you can then brand that yourself, and you don't have to say where it's from. So sometimes you'll go into Lidl or Aldi and it'll say Isla single malt, Highland single malt, or Speyside single malt. It won't tell you which distillery. They do not have their own distilleries. They will be working with a distillery and buying so many casks that they will then brand as their own, which is totally legitimate. It can still be Scotch, and they can charge whatever they want for it. It is theirs.
In fact, this is a way in.
Same with this. It doesn't say which gin distillery it is. It just says gin.
It is, in fact, a roundabout way into the whiskey game if you want. So let's say you don't have the cash up front to build a distillery and employ people at stall and all that stuff. What you could do is you could start a company, get your company licensed up for selling and trading in spirits. Then you go to Diageo or some of the big players and you say, all right, I'm going to order a whiskey, a blend of sorts. I want it to be either just a single malt blend or doesn't matter, whatever blend. and you give them a recipe. So you tell them, I want it to have these characteristics. And they will go and they'll blend it for you. And then you'll check it. And if you're happy, then you could start the company, bottle it, and so on. In fact, a lot of companies that we know do that, like the Lang brothers. Before they opened their distillery now, the what's it called? Ardnahoe. That's all they did. They went around, they bought barrels, they dealt with different distilleries, they bought some of their stuff, they blended some of their stuff, and they packaged it up. So in their case, they actually they went a little bit further. They actually told you on the bottle which distillery it came from. So if they bought a barrel from Bruichladdich, they would say Bruichladdich 2008.
We've got someone somewhere.
No, you sold my wonderful Auchentoschen Lang. And they
I bought another one. I bought a Bunnahabhain one.
Did you?
I do.
The Lang stuff is incredible. And you can see, because I think the joy of that is that you can go around if you've got the time and the money, and you can really choose the whiskey of your liking, package it up, and sell it. So the stuff is incredible. I've never, when they were building the distillery on Islay, they had a little shop at the Islay Estates, and when you walked in there were these loveliest two old ladies, and they were so keen to let you try their stuff. You always walked out of there with way too much. And every single one of them was like a perfect. It's like somebody with just a whiskey brain chose, the whiskeys. They had the most amazing stuff, and they now also deal with rum and stuff like that in the same way.
They are very good, and I think the thing because we are talking about Sam here. Some people are saying, yeah. I mean, the sad thing for me is that he went for a blend opposed to a single malt, because he has been involved with many other single malts across Scotland. I think he's done that purely for the commercial factor, because blends are much easier to sell because they're slightly smoother. In terms of the sellable, they're more accessible. You can make them cheaper because you can, you've got the volume there.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So that's like your Johnny Walkers and like your Shivases and your Dewar's. They're all your blended Scotch whiskies. Whereas all single malt really means is that it comes from one distillery. It might come from different casks and casks of different ages. So you might use a sherry cask that's been aged for, 12 years. You might, very unlikely, but you might take a bourbon cask again that you've only aged for 5 years, and you might take even a wine cask, an ex-wine cask, and then marry them together, and it can still be a single malt. The only thing is, if you're going to have a blend, it's from different distilleries. So there are quite a lot of the kind of Diageo distilleries in particular. They are involved with the blending process, because they are with like Johnny Walker actually. So if you go to the likes of Glenkinchie, you'll see they are mainly a blended distillery. Whereas
no, you phrase that right. Glenkinchie is part of Diageo, and they make single malt whiskey.
Correct.
But the majority of their whiskey goes to blending for Diageo.
Correct.
So,
That's a better. Thank you for that. So they have their own single malt, which is Glenkinchie.
Jerry, I'm sure he likes pink gin.
He loves pink gin. So I know that Sam did a big thing for Lafroig actually a couple of years ago, over on Isla. And that was pretty amazing, actually. He went over and he did a lot of work for them. And I think
But more importantly, he actually promoted one of Lafroig's version of the Ugendal. He promoted the quarter cask, if I'm not mistaken. The quarter cask you can still get. And if you see it anywhere, buy it without even thinking about it. It is a really heavily peated, perfectly balanced Lafroig genius, better than the 10, in my opinion. So,
Kim, the thing is, the interesting thing about whiskey, and a lot of people do get this kind of, there is a bit of whiskey snobbery out there, and we are kind of slightly guilty for that ourselves, in the fact that we would favour a single malt over a blend purely because of the process it has taken to make that. Now, I'm not going to take away from the blended distilleries, because they also do a lot of work, but from a position of time, of dedication to that drink that you are taking in, and that is really why single malts, I think, are slightly better than your blends, and that's why they are more expensive than your blends. Obviously not all the blends, some blends are quite dear.
It is as simple as volume. If you have what they call a coffee still, which is named after the guy who invented it, or continuous still, if a normal standard single malt distillery with copper stills, as you see in the pictures, and as you've seen in if you've been on a tour anywhere, you'll see that they're quite small. They're maybe 2-3 meters in diameter, maybe 3-5 meters high. Those kind of classic single malt distilleries will produce anywhere between maybe 200,000 to, if you're lucky, 600,000 liters a year, depending on how many stills they have. Whereas a continuous still can do millions of liters a year, right? So it is the whiskey, the alcohol that they produce in these continuous stills is a much higher alcohol percentage, and is kind of void of flavor, because in the single malt distillery, in the copper stills, there's a lot of effort being taken into the size, the shape, how much copper content, all this kind of stuff, to how much flavor is actually derived from the distilling process itself. That's also why they use malted barley and peated barley, etc. So there's a lot of effort in the distilling process, and the beer that they make, that they distill, and all that, to reach a certain kind of profile before it goes into barrels, where then further profiling is done. Whereas the continuous stills is basically making alcohol, boom, 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 and that gets fired into barrels.
You're welcome, Sandy.
So that's why there's a difference. And then usually what happens is that you have about 40% of this whiskey is then single malt, and the rest is then grain whiskey. So continuous still kind of mass produced whiskey. But after that, the aging process and the care in the warehouses, and where they're warehoused, etc., all the stuff is still done. It's still kind of a lengthy process, even for the blends. But blends are looked down because of whiskey snobbery, nothing else. Because the first thing that distilleries will now tell you is, like, if you like blends, you like blends. If you like gin, you like gin. If you like Coca-Cola, you like Coca-Cola.
Everything. If you want it, like,
doesn't matter.
One of my favorite guides at whiskey tour guides at the distilleries is Neil, and Neil works at Auchentoshan, but he was put on his
hello from Australia.
He was put on his sabbatical last year because Auchentoshan, Lafroig, and Bowmore are like under the same company. So Beam Suntory, and he went over to Lafroig last year, and he was hanging about. But Neil always says, if you want to drink it with Coke, if you want to take this, 67% cask strength, sherry cask strength, Auchentoshan.
Yeah, he took it too far.
And you want to put it with Coke, that's fine. The best thing for me was one day I was at Auchentoshan, And I had a group, and I'd opened the boot up, and we'd just done the tour, and we're just about to leave, and they had bought some Glengoynes or something earlier, because it was a whiskey day I was doing, and they were really drunk by this point, I think, my group, because they'd done Tullibardine 3 tastings. They'd done can't remember now. They did about 4 distilleries, and they finished up at Auchentoshan. And they did Deanston as well, that was it. And they had some bottles that they had bought from Glengoyne, and they were having wee drams in the Auchentoshan car park of Glengoyne whiskey. And Neil comes out and he's like, he's some. I miss you, Neil, and you've disappeared. And it's we just want to let you know we're thinking of you all. At this time, we have a really good relationship with most of the places that we visit, whether that be the castle properties that we visit or the distilleries. We have a really good relationship with all of them, and we're missing you all. We really wish that we could be coming to see you right now. Sadly, that's not possible. But hopefully soon.
Where's Jerry from? Where does she live?
Jerry, you're in America.
Yeah, but where in America?
Jerry, you're in Ohio, am I right? I'm trying to remember, but your daughter's in Pennsylvania, because our daughter made us the gin in Pennsylvania. Do you remember the gin I brought back that we gave to Sam as well?
If you should be, I mean, the States is okay. The biggest problem with the whiskey that you get in the States is that you unless you're in a center or part of a whiskey group or have a some sort of distributor close to you, you usually get all the whiskeys, but you don't get the kind of special whiskey, single cask, stuff like that. But to get started with PT whiskey, go straight for the Lagavulin 16 or the 8, the Bunnahabhain Deutsche Chada. Go for trying to think which one is lightly peated. Talisker is a good idea. Yeah. Which one though? Because they're entry level. No, that's not good enough in my opinion. They suck a little bit now in my opinion. But,
you've been jaded by
they just aren't as good as they. It wasn't the Storm. What was the what was the one with the degrees on it and had the something degrees on it, 75 degrees north or something like that. That one was really nice, and just kind of like just enough peat to taste it, but not too much to go, oh my god, if you're not used to it.
Oh, thanks, Jackie. Like
Ardbeg for sure.
Ardbeg is, like we said before, Ardbeg is a really see if you're asking me, hi Jamie, see if you're asking me as someone who's not as into drinking whiskey as I am about my love for the product and my love for Scotland and what it does for Scotland and the fact I want to have my own distillery in the future. The thing about whiskey for me is if you're going to start, if you haven't started and you want to try single malts, you've done your Johnny Walkers, you've done your Chivas, you've done your Grants or whatever it is, you go to the Auchentoshan. I think, honestly speaking, Auchentoshan is probably one of the smoothest whiskies you'll try. And the reason for that is because they are, like the Irish whiskies, they are triple distilled. So you get a really smooth product at the end. So a lot of people who have an Auchentoshan, they tend to have, they start with the American oak. So you'll also know that when you come to whiskey, you come to Scotland, you go, oh, it's matured in bourbon cask, ex-bourbon casks. Well, it's because it's works well for money, and we don't have enough oak in Scotland to be able to produce the whiskey that we would like. So we have a lot of our whiskey is matured in ex-bourbon barrels or bourbon casks. And the reason for that is because in Kentucky, if you don't know this, there was a problem with, they were trying to keep people in work. So there's actually a law, which means you can only use a bourbon barrel once. So that's to help with the timber trade in America. So what they do is they have to literally break down the barrel, completely break it down, and then they send it to Scotland or wherever, anywhere, it's using ex-bourbon casks. They bring it here and then they fix it back up with a nice cooper. We'll put a nice barrel together, slightly bigger, isn't it? So
no, not always.
not always. Anyway, they put it back together and
fire the crap out of it.
You get this really lovely golden color from the bourbon casks, and you get like kind of vanilla flavor. So you hear people talking about vanilla and things like that. You get the vanilla flavors that come out of it. And yeah, I would say Auchentoshan, because they also triple distill, you get a much smoother product. So if you're new to whiskey, it's a really good one to start with because it's not so harsh. Personally speaking, though, the Auchentoshan American Oak, a lot of people find that easier. I actually prefer the Auchentoshan 12 or the Auchentoshan 3 Wood. I find those are slightly easier than the American Oak. That's just a personal preference.
Easy, buy them without even thinking about it. The Auchentoshan are one of the ones that are so good with their core range. You can just actually Auchentoshan. Doesn't matter what your taste is in whiskey, Auchentoshan you can buy. And it's not because I'm saying it's like an every man's whiskey. It is just so good. Mary, yes.
Yes, we've been to Kingsbarn, so that's by St Andrews.
In fact, I've even had.
Have we not still got some up there?
No, it's in that box there. I actually have the raw spirit that comes out of the stills, and it is delicious.
The new make spirit.
The new make spirit. Well, raw spirit, new make spirit. Unbelievable. I think their whiskey is
see you later, Jackie.
Incredible. So but when I was there, they didn't have a whiskey out yet. They were too young.
I think they just got is it an 8 they've got out?
I don't think so.
I don't think they put an age statement.
I don't think they're old enough. But they, judging by how good their new make spirit is, that is going to be something to look out for.
So Kingsbarns is a distillery. There's some really exciting distilleries, actually. I'm just looking up there and I can see we've got the, is that the Man o' War? The Man o' Words, that one I can't see from here.
Try this. This is weird.
What is this? Is this
the
Aaron?
No, it's the Glenelgs.
Oh, this is the German one. This is the German whiskey. This is not a Scotch, okay? That's... Just before I do try it, I want to quickly explain what a Scotch actually is, because a lot of Scottish people don't even know what it is.
Yes, you did, Kim.
Scotch is like a stamp, like champagne. So you can get sparkling wine anywhere, but you'll get only champagne in the Champagne region of France. Well, the same can be said for Scotch. Scotch is it's champagne, it's its brand to say that it's been made and matured in Scotland. So that's the only reason why it's called Scotch. A lot of people don't know that, but there you go. So I'm going to try this.
But it's still a single malt if it's not from Scotland, right?
I quite like that.
So this is the
I like a German whiskey.
This is the German one from Glenelgs, and it was given to me as the Noir number 7, so black number 7. Now it's not peaty. It actually smells very much like an Auchentoshan.
But it's sweet.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at. So if you look at the color, you can see the color better here.
It's a sherry.
It's a sherry. You can actually taste the sherry butterness.
Mm-hmm. And you can actually taste the barley.
It's sweet.
I can taste the barley in that. It's so strong.
It's also definitely like 10 years or more because it's so strong.
So yes, some German whiskey. We're not just doing Scotch here tonight.
So this is a single malt, but not a Scotch.
Yeah. So this is.
Here's a story. So we went to visit my aunt in Herrenberg, which is about half an hour from Stuttgart.
Half an hour from Stuttgart.
And we're walking. They take us through a little tour through the town, and here's this little. It was actually a Scottish guy running a little beer shop. He was importing ales from Scotland and UK actually, because he had different ones. And he had a little section where we were selling whiskies, and a lot of them were German ones. I didn't even know at the time that this kind of sacrilege happened. But it did. And there were whiskies ranging from fairly normal
I
price
think we should start making schnapps.
single malts to single malts all the way to really crazy expensive whiskies. And the majority of them were made in the Black Forest,
Yeah.
most likely
Oh,
because of the
amazing.
water or whatever.
But the Noose one, Noose.
No,
was it?
that was the schnapps.
Oh, was that the schnapps? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Wow. Anyway, but this one here comes from the north. Actually, let's give you some more information, because they're extremely popular because they're one of the few only distilleries in Germany have made a bit of a name for themselves. And apparently, every time a new expression comes out, it's like mobbed. The German distillery is situated in the southern parts of the Herzian forest of the Harz Mountains, in a small village called Zorg.
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 Obviously, yes.
So if not, the Herzian Mountain Forest, isn't that where the big battle took place, where the barbarians finally ousted the Romans?
I don't know.
That'd be cool.
It would be really cool if that was true. I don't know the answer to that, guys. And we're going to come out right now. 2 seconds. It's going to come out. We're going to come back in. So if you're in Instagram, just come back and find us again. Okay.
Mm.
So
This is beautiful.
let's just see.
Mary,
So,
there was somebody else who was talking about Glenfiddich. I don't know the Glenfiddichs very well anymore. It was the first kind of.
I think I need to cut in there. Helmut, when I met him, he was already, when he came to Scotland, he stayed with his sister, and his sister was in a relationship with a Scottish guy who liked whiskey, and he had a very imperative part in training Helmut in his whiskey.
He didn't train me.
He didn't train you. He introduced him to different
I know
whiskies.
how to drink.
He knows how you drink. No, you know that. but Malcolm did a really good job at having whiskey and enjoying whiskey, and that really came to Helmut quite easily. And
Yes, Jay.
so from that, having Glenfiddich was almost like frowned upon. I wouldn't say frowned upon, but I would say almost frowned upon to a certain degree. I would. I've known you now. We have been in a relationship now for 15 years.
No, that's.
I know it.
No, let me tell the story. Right?
I know it.
My first whiskies that I drank was the classic, obvious ones. It was Glenfiddich, Glenmorangie. It was 1 or 2 Macallans when the 10s, the normal ranges were still there. It was some Macallans. And then there was a good whiskey shop there. And then we made some friends, and everybody liked whiskey. So we started buying fancy things that we didn't know. Not expensive, just different brands. And that's how we kind of expanded.
It was Ben Romach that I bought you that one time. I went to the still, and it was like, oh,
Ben Romach was my first, like, oh my God. And then after that, it was Bruichladdich. Or I think Bruichladdich might have been before. But anyway, slowly but surely, as you buy more, then there was Cardew, I remember. Then there was not Highland Park. I always mixed the one up. What's the other one from the islands up north? Scapa. And so slowly but surely, and then we got into the PT one, slowly but surely, and I basically liked all of them. The reason I was going to talk about Glenfiddich and why I don't know them so well anymore is because I'm going to talk about from a tourist point of view. If you're standard American, Canadian, Australian foreigner who likes whiskey, and you're not in the know in a club, and you're not like a nerd or an anorak about it, you just like whiskey and you go and you buy single malts, you don't know what's out there. So what happens is a lot of them come and they say, oh, but Macallan is my favorite, Glenfiddich is my favorite, etc. But
usually Glenfiddich,
Glenfiddich and
Macallan,
are the main two ones. So what then happens is that they want to go and see Macallan, etc. And usually my standard phrase is, by the time you're finished with me, you will have forgotten about Macallan or Glenfiddich. Now, that's not necessarily because they're worse, but because there's 100 other ones to choose from, and they're really all of the single malts are amazing, right? And what we also do, like, this is not a sales pitch, but we've got different whiskies. We've got one there that's only 3 years old, from the most westerly distillery in Scotland. I've got a single cask grain, so that's pure grain, cask strength. I've had in the past quite a few different ones from Japan, Hibiki, which is a blend, etc. So it's not about whiskey and Scottish whiskey and this. It's it's about trying to people to understand, what good stuff can come from malted barley at the end of the day. So, and because Glenfiddich is a little bit more corporate and big, we've been there enough times, but the last one I tried was what's it called? The one, the ale, not the ale, it's called something with ale because they did something. Remember? Has this weird bottle. Just leave it. The one that was ale. Anyway, it had something to do with ale, and they made a big deal out of it, and I didn't like it. It's as simple as that. It's just a personal preference at the end of the day.
Hi, Laura. Love you.
But this is amazing.
We've got Sash Bash here. Give me Sash. Come here. Come here. Come here. Can just make out her big head. Look at that.
Yeah, I'll sort of.
You're going to pick it up. It's a son.
Oh, come here, Sash. Come here. Up. Come on. Up.
She's not going to work for you.
Get up.
She's like that. No. I'm just going to give you my paw.
Come here. There you go, you big monstrosity. You go look in the camera. You go put your camera. I think she wants out. I'm going to take her out quick.
Okay.
She wants out.
She wants out. She's come to us to say, can you please let us out? She is a darling. She is. So Jerry, Helmut is actually, he's from South Africa, like myself. But his parents were both from Germany. So when we go to Germany, we meet some of the relatives that his parents left behind. So his dad is still over in South Africa, but like his mother's sister and, his sister and his brother now live in Germany. His sister used to live just down the road here, but they moved about 4 years ago. And I'm trying to get a hold of my niece because she's the same age as, she's 3 months younger than my eldest daughter, Rowan. And Rowan is going to be 14 in literally a week's time. So I'm going to be the mother of a 14-year-old. So that's going to be a little scary for me. But I'm trying to get a hold of my niece as well. Get her over here because she's having a hard time in Germany. She really wants to be back in Scotland. She misses where she was born and where she grew up. The name of the German whiskey is called Glen Els.
Glen Els.
How do you spell Els?
E-L-S.
E-L-S. Kim, what is your all-time favourite whiskey? That's like how long is a piece of string? I suppose the best whiskey you've ever had has never been made yet.
No,
Maybe.
The lucky thing is I was trying to, it's one of those things. If you're lucky enough to have options and you're in a good place where you've got access and you're willing to spend the money on it and you've got friends who enjoy whiskey and they buy stuff, you realize that there's no such thing as a favorite. There's a go-to maybe.
Yeah.
If you can't think of which one you want, there's one that you might always end up taking. But the Uigendal for me is like, if they have it, I take it. If they have the Lagavulin 16, I'll take it, And there's some of the Lafroigs too. The Bruichladdich, there's some really good ones from them. The beer barley, the Auchentoshen.
So sad.
Auchentoshen ones was.
It's just because I was talking about Rowan.
Oh.
So Jerry's family. Okay, Stuart.
Night,
see
Stuart.
you later. Good night. We're not going to be on for too much longer, guys. So if you want to go, it's fine.
I've not even went for the.
He's not even had the.
But I made the classic mistake. I went for the peaty one first, but then to be fair, I didn't know if these were going to be peaty or not. This one is quite strong. It's a very full flavored kind of sherry cask. This is very much like the Auchentoshen, the cask. So this
is the German whiskey that Helmut's still drinking.
So, but now looking at this one, this is a good example. This was most likely a second or third fill
Bourbon. It looks
bourbon
bourbon cask.
because it's so light.
Can you see that? Can I just bring it up here nicely? You can just about make that. It's a nice golden color. This is what I was talking about before with the bourbon cask. So what Helmut was saying, and I was going to butt in, but I never, was the reason why the blends you can kind of make what you want from them is because when you age the whiskey, it takes on the flavors and characteristics that are from the individual cask that it is being matured in. So when it starts off its life, we don't have any new make spirit here, but it's just clear. It's usually just completely clear.
Water.
Looks like water. Looks like vodka, basically, or gin. And it starts to change its color from the cask. That's really what gives whiskey its color. And usually, even if it's like a virgin cask or something, that usually the younger, obviously, the lighter the color. So the older the whiskey, the more color it tends to have, unless it's been matured in another cask, like a sherry cask. So sherry
or they
cask,
cheat and they dumping.
well, that's another.
In
that is another thing. Actually, they are doing that. They are starting to add colorings, and I think that's more for whiskies in particular, which don't have much of an age statement, but are still very good nonetheless. And the problem with that is a lot of people in the whiskey world were talking about snobbery in terms of having a single malt opposed to a blend. There's also snobbery when it comes to the age. And again, that comes from the simple fact that that whiskey has been sitting there for, 25 years. And so it's going to cost a lot of money. So it's more about how much does it cost rather than what does it necessarily taste like. I suppose people go for that kind of snobbery, as you see most walks of life. So what they tend to do, especially if it's, and just to get this right, this might be more than one cask, and you might have a 3-year-old whiskey in here and a 12-year-old whiskey in here, just as a small example. So what they might do is color it to make it look older so that people get a product which they are familiar with, because you're familiar with a product which is colored rather than a product which is slightly clearer.
Yes.
And I think that's really why they do it,
but
from a marketing perspective.
Yes, but it has to be kind of taken with a pinch of salt.
Oh, wow.
Because the ones that are
John.
colored tend to be core ranges, and they tend to be export. And the reason that happens is consistency. That, when you have 10 bottles standing next to one another, there is a chance that although they're all fairly similar, but they might be slightly different colors, and they don't want that to happen. So it's a pure aesthetic thing, and they all say it does not interfere with the flavor. We're gonna have to take their word for it. But it does happen, but it doesn't really happen with the higher, the higher kind of more costly ones, because they tend to be aged, they tend to be more selected, shorter runs, single cast type stuff. So,
but that's really the issue that a lot of people have is with distilleries coloring their spirit,
but it's
coloring their whiskey. I get it, because I understand it is, like as Helmut said, it's about consistency. If you are selling so many types of bottles, you need to make sure that every bottle looks the same.
That is beautiful.
And I think that's what it's all about. So what Helmut's doing now is he was actually the first person that did this, and I don't know where you learned this from, to be fair.
What?
When you cleanse your palate, and he always, since I've known him, he always drinks and then he has a glass of water with him. He never just drinks normally. He always has a beer and a water, or a whiskey and a water.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, no. It's very simple. You can test this yourself. Go out on a full-on drinking spree, right? And don't drink any water. or go on the same drinking spree, but with every drink, no matter if it's beer or gin or whiskey or whatever, with everyone you drink a glass of water.
You can tell he is
You'll see the
properly-
difference the next day.
You can tell he is he's trained much more than myself.
John, if I may add to your comment,
I've not had any of this for ages.
I'm gonna put this one up here.
Does gin go off?
No.
Because I think I bought this for myself. This is how sad my life is. I have to buy my own.
Yeah,
Christmas
John, there's
presents.
a good chance that at the Green Valley he was overcharged because it's obviously a tourist trap. So there is that chance.
It's also because
But
it's a reseller as well.
It is, yeah, but most importantly, it doesn't matter how much you pay for your whiskey, that cork should pop and it should be shared with friends and family. That's all I can say to that.
No, it should be kept and then sold for more money.
No. So this is the Glen Else number 2, the Passe. I don't know, that's some sort of Frenchiness in it.
Is that you? Sorry, you. Is that the another Glen
It's
Else?
also Glen
So
Else.
Helmut's drinking another German whiskey. It's from the same distillery, and it's called the Passe.
Oh my God.
So we obviously have run Slan Scotland for a long time. And just a little bit of information for you all. I was wanting to start, in fact, a couple of years ago, I already kind of started it, a special German tour company. And we were going to run, in particular, Bavarian tours, because Bavaria is my other heart. Like, I love Bavaria so much. And after the Scottish referendum in 2014, I was ready to leave this country like that. Like, I was like, I'm off. Like, see you all later. And I got a job.
What she's trying to say is she wanted to see me in later, was it?
I did. No. The real thing is I want a Dirndl.
I want to see you in the Dirndl.
I want a Dirndl so badly. It's like it's like my dream.
You know what's good about Bavaria? It's very simple. When you have breakfast and you order your beer, and there's no flinching, there's no excuse me, no nothing. It's just, yeah, here's your beer.
Yeah.
That's it. That's fine. Here's your beer with your breakfast, no problem. There's nobody that goes,
Oh, that's
No.
too early for this. No. Honestly, I was offered a job in Munich in 2014, and I decided to give Scotland another go. Otherwise, I would. Ich spreche Deutsch jetzt und kein Englisch,
yeah,
nur Deutsch.
in Dirndl.
In Dirndl,
Und
keine
natürlich
Kilt.
würde Katrina in jeder Hand 6 Stein.
Ja, Stein für die Bier. Ja,
And you would be able to yodel by now.
ja. So, wir können nur Deutsch sprechen jetzt
Ja.
für alle Leute. Ja,
Vielleicht kann jemand uns verstehen.
vielleicht wie. Ich habe keine Ahnung. Keine Ahnung jetzt. So, anyway. We just
Your
start
German
talking
ran
German.
out pretty quickly there.
Nein, ich habe viel Deutsch, wenn ich voll sein. Ein bisschen zu trunken sein.
Wenn du betrunken bist.
Betrunken.
Wenn du ein bisschen betrunken
Ja, mein
bist.
Grammar ist sehr schlecht, aber ich kann
Deine Rechtssprache ist
alles verstanden und ich kann viel sprechen.
Dann trink noch ein
Sprechen.
bisschen mehr Whisky und dann kannst du Deutsch sprechen.
Dankeschön, Lisa. So, no, we're gonna go.
Wow, das ist gut.
Je peux parler en français maintenant.
Ik kan niet Frans, ik praat niet Parani.
Ik kan
praat
niet
niet
praten
Parani.
Afrikaans. Ik kan praten Engels alsjeblieft. En Engels alsjeblieft.
Ja, ons praat Engels.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's us just doing a little bit of playing in different languages. I was very privileged. I managed to learn. I studied French and German. Helmut's a German speaker. He's also a fluent Afrikaans speaker and an English speaker. And Francesca, can you speak any Italian?
Do I call you Donna or Signora. I'm not so sure.
Signora.
Donna.
Okay, Donna.
Yeah, it just leaves me every time I need to speak it. It just leaves me.
Yes, Helmut has lots of Italian friends.
Yeah, but Sicilian.
Sicilian.
I can tell you all the bad Sicilian words.
Yes, I know. Sorry.
Some of them really bad.
Some of Riccione.
My favorite.
Froscio.
My favorite is the one that is exactly the same as one of the biggest game makers, Sega.
Okay. The worst part is when I met Helmut, all his Italian friends, so he has like Italian men are all the same. And
that's a bit of profiling there.
It's incredibly profiling, but I know them all and I love them all. But they all were making fun of me because because my name is Catriona, and they all thought that was incredibly funny. Why?
Francesca will know this.
Francesca, why do you think
Catroiona?
Catroiona. They thought this was hilarious. Anyway, so now we're just talking different languages and not doing any whiskey. Anyway, so
mi piace un aquavita. I think that is right. Ish.
Yeah, we have friends. Most of the friends that Helmut had in Scotland were, and they still are friends. So we have friends from Sicily, from Verona,
Norway.
My sister is going out with an Italian called Antonio.
Whose pizza
is amazing. He runs a local pizza restaurant, and I love Tony to pieces. And
honestly, you know, when people say this pizza is great, his pizzas are literally insanely good.
So hi Tony, we love you. We love you. Please give me some more pizza. Please give me some more pizza.
Is he there?
He's not.
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't going to say it if he was there. I don't want him to get a big head or something.
No, yes, he's already got a big head because I sent him a message the other day and I said, "Hi, Tony, you are really good for my sister." That's what I said to him.
Aye.
It is Tonino's. I love Tonino's Pizzeria. So, yeah, Francesca. So, Tony's parents ran the local chip shop here in Inverkip, and pizza chip shop restaurant, whatever you want to call it, typical Italians. And he opened his own proper pizzeria in Greenock. He's called Tonino's, and he is amazing. Seriously, I'll tell him. They judged his restaurant and they won. He does. He's got a wee sign in his restaurant which says "We are the winners." So that's my sister's boyfriend. He is awesome. He is a really good guy, and we are. It's funny because my little sister's much younger than me, but Tony and me are the same age. We are both 34-year-olds. And we both get life, and we're both business owners, and we try to get by. So that's it. And Francesca, I love you so much, Hen. Like, you're awesome. Oh, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to totally tell him. So you come down to Greenock, and I'm going to treat you to a pizza or a lasagna, or what else does he do? Because he had me in. See, when this all started, I was like, Tony, I need a job. And he's like, just come down. And I was his kitchen porter for a day, but I can't cook. And I was like, okay, I'm not really good at this kitchen porter business. But anyway, so you need to, I'll take you out as soon as lockdown's gone, you come down to Greenock and I'm going to take you out to Tonino's and we'll have a nice meal in his little veranda area. He's got a really lovely veranda area. Oh, that's amazing. I'm going to tell him. So, where is the pizza house? Oh, there, you've also been. So, Tony, much love you. You're my new brother. He's going to be like this. What the actual hell, Catriona? Like, the first time I met, like maybe the second time I met Tony, there was like a massive domestic between myself and my sister. It was just a long story. And Tony was outside like, what have I even joined? What kind of a family is this? But it was amazing. So, You want pizza? Have pizza. We have actually we've got Francesca. So Francesca's here. Francesca's over in Francesca, you're in Airdrie. So Francesca here is actually a amazing costume designer, like seamstress for Outlander. And I think you're in Airdrie. That's where you're from. If I'm mistaken, let me know. And we have a really long history of Italians in Scotland. From probably the 19th century onwards, we've had a lot of Italians, just like you have had in like the Americas. So like just if you walk through my local town, you know, you have every single chip shop, every single ice cream shop, every single pizza joint, they're all Italians or ex-Italians. So we've got a long history with Italy, and actually in our local town we had a special
the mafiosi get everywhere.
The mafia
selling the mafioso here aren't so bad. They sell ice cream and pizza. You know, they don't extort them.
Awesome. Well, Francesca is an embroiderer, so I wish I had your talent, Francesca. But we had a special event in Greenock because during the Second World War, they went and all the Italian shops and businesses were targeted. They broke their glass, they broke their windows, because they were obviously, as you know, Italy was
axis of evil.
Axis of evil. I'm trying to think of a better word for it. They were allies to the Nazis at the time, so they were targeted. And there's a really great YouTube video.
How can anybody who makes good ice cream be evil?
I know. But we do, like, half of the people I know are all Italian. I don't know if you know this, Francesca, my great-great-grandfather was from Italy. He was from Lake Como, and his name was Romeo, which I think is the freaking best thing ever. My great-great-granddad was called Romeo. I mean, I have no Italian looks about me anymore, but
was he the alpha male?
He was the alpha male.
Alpha.
But we all
yeah.
No, I'm just like Romeo. I mean Romeo.
Yeah, obviously.
Anyway, so I have, and his last name was Mentasti. So we've just completely gone off of Scotland now. We're now in Italy. But guess what, guys? I have never been to Italy before, and I really want to go to Italy. That's my next big holiday. I was looking at it last year for this year, and we were like looking at it, and then this year just died on us. So.
Yeah.
Especially in Italy, but we have lots of friends in Italy. One of our friends just lives down the road. She's from Italy. She's from Sicily. And love them all to pieces. Like, they are such amazing people. So, prego, see? Prega, prego, prega, prego. I think you say it differently, don't you? Is it not like Portuguese? Prego, prego. Anyway. So there you go. Amalfi Coast. That's what I was looking at. See?
Yeah. That's postcard hunting, isn't it?
It is postcard hunting, but I found somewhere and I was like, I'm going to the Amalfi Coast. Like, I don't care what anyone says, that's where I'm going this year, and we're not going anywhere. We're staying in our hometown, but I'm happy. So there you go. So we've got Ian saying Zavaroni's in Rossi, so I need to have a look there as well. But no, we've got a really strong connection to Italy, and actually we were very lucky, actually, weren't we? Like, all our Italian friends, we've got Norwegian friends, Swedish friends. Both Helmut and I worked in IBM, so I worked in the French department. Helmut worked in the communications department, so he started in the German and moved his way up, whereas I just stayed with the Frenchies. And so we're very privileged to have lots of influences in our lives from other European countries, and that's what I love about Scotland, is that we are very European minded and that we love Europe. So I love Germany, I love France so much. Like, if I could go to Marseille or to Nice right now, I'd be, or Grasse, I'd be there in a minute. And
I don't know why, because you don't like wine, you don't like frogs,
I
you
love
don't like
no,
garlic.
I like. You don't drink wine there. You drink pastis.
You
Pastis
don't
is
drink
like
wine.
I drink pastis. Pastis is like an aniseed sort of drink that comes from. It's amazing. I like aniseed, so shut up. But if you go to France, we've got Italy. Half of Helmut's friends were from Sicily. Like I said, Verona. Other place in Italy, we've got Gianluca. I saw Gianluca the other night. Gianluca's watching. Hi, Gianluca. I saw Gianluca out last year for my sister's birthday, and I see him out all the time. We used to do stuff for him. And all my Frenchy friends, like, I miss them so much. I miss all of our connections because they all left us. They all left Scotland.
Well, that's why it's fun doing
pastures new.
tours, because one of the things that we've had for such a long time was this constant being surrounded by different cultures.
Yeah, totally.
But when you do tours, you still have a bit of that, you know. You still have people coming from different places and different backgrounds.
And I have to say that you're right. The best thing about this job as being a tour guide is meeting people from different places around the world. Like, I feel like I know America. I've only ever been to New York.
You think you know everything.
I think I know everything. No, I love it because I love like Jerry. He's from Ohio. We've got people from Tesco. Limoncello.
Helen, this is hilarious because the Sicilians introduced me to limoncello, and they were like, "Oh, be careful, it's strong." It's like, what?
Well,
this is juice.
I've got a story about limoncello, and it was me and my Scottish friend.
It's an aperitif.
Yeah, me and my Scottish friend. She's actually originally from Weems Bay. She's my best pal. She's now living in America. And we went to Largs because that's where all my French friends stayed, and we went to a party in Largs, and they had limoncello.
Baby's booze.
Yeah, well, they gave us the limoncello in these wee glasses, and we were like classy Scottish birds. We get this limoncello, and we just get it, and they're looking at us like, "What the hell are you doing?" And all we do is we just neck it. And they're like, "It's limoncello? Who necks limoncello ever?" We did.
Yeah. It was, do you remember the restaurant at the yacht club before it turned to Scots?
Oh yeah, the one that you had a fallout with because they wouldn't give you ice cream.
Because that was actually when it was already Scots.
No, it wasn't Scots. That. No, it wasn't Scots yet. You got really annoyed with them because they wouldn't give you food outside.
Yeah. They've got a little kiosk opening with the ice cream right there, people eating, and they didn't want to give me ice cream.
Yeah.
Why would you say, like, give me the ice cream? But anyway, so
German. It's unbelievable. German, South African, it's unbelievable.
That's where
us Scottish people just accept this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like, give me the goddamn ice cream.
Oh, that's too funny.
Anyway, so that's I remember it was either there or it was actually at the Green Shutter.
It was the Green. I love the Green Shutter. I miss the Green Shutter.
They also had limoncello.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the guys, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Alessandro, who brought limoncello.
He also brought grappa.
He brought, but that was his
own homemade grappa
and his own wine.
Yeah. Yeah, that
wow.
was good. Alessandro, we love you. Alessandro is one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet. He was one of Helmut's first friends I ever met. And they were drinking wine like it was juice, and I was really, unfortunately,
16-17% basically homemade wine from Verona.
Yeah, and he now lives in Norway. And
it was like treacle. It was amazing.
He met a lovely Norwegian girl that we love to. I love her anyway because she's so Norwegian, but she's such a Viking, isn't she?
Yeah.
Celia, and she's got the blonde hair, and she wears it in plaits, and she's from Oslo, but they now live right in the Arctic Circle in Rognan, and they had their little daughter Maya. They had her here, and I'm just so sad. We miss all these people. We used to go every single weekend. We would be at some sort of dinner, something, and then they all left us one by one. one of Helmut's best friends now is in Sweden. He met a Swedish girl and they're now in Sweden. He's in Norway. Your sister's now back in Germany with her guy. There's just, and we've still got Simonetta. She's still down the road.
Yeah.
And that's the only ones we still have. So kind of
Some
sad.
weirdly moved to England.
Oh, Sebi moved to England. But Sebi's moving where? He's moving to Amsterdam or something.
That's right.
He?
They're moving to Amsterdam or something.
Now this is going to sound terrible, but Sebi, if you're watching,
Brexit, though.
Sebi, if you're watching, he goes like that. He goes, Catriona, can you pass the cock? And I was like, oh, what? And he went, can you pass the cock? I'm sorry. That like caught me and I was like, what are you saying? It's like, say that again.
No, my favorite stories he's like all into black metal and all this kind of stuff. And we have a dinner at my sister's house.
Yeah. In Largs. I think she's in Largs at the time.
In Largs, yeah. And invited is also my sister's husband's mother, who's very prim and proper.
She is, yeah.
And she's also very shy, right? Yeah, especially with new folk.
I love her pieces.
And here comes Sebi, and he told us afterwards how mortified he was because he didn't think about it. He just put a t-shirt on and went. But the t-shirt was like a stick drawing of a girl, but with all the boobs and genitals like really clearly and obviously graphically stated. And he had his jacket on and he came in there and he takes his jacket off. Anyway, that was classic.
And he's the nicest man you'll ever meet in your whole entire life.
It's like,
he's not even hardcore. He's like literally the nicest guy you'll ever meet in your whole entire life. And he's also from Sicily. Poor guy.
That's a guy I made friends with when he was new to the country. He couldn't speak. If he could speak 10 words in English, and he didn't really drink.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. Weird. Anyway, that was hilarious.
Poor Sebi. Poor Sebi. I love you, Sebi.
Oh.
Miss you all.
Yeah.
Miss you all. I was the baby of the group. I was the youngin. I came in as a young 19-year-old. And everybody was like, what the hell is happening here? But anyway, that's that.
It's funny actually because at the time Katrina was always laughing at us because we had wrinkles and she didn't.
I did actually. I remember having that joke.
Yeah.
I remember actually sitting at Morris's. It was Morris's.
Is that still true?
I don't have that many wrinkles, guys, do I? I don't.
I'm going to finish this one. This one is so good.
So that's a little story about us and where we came from and why we're here. If you do come to Scotland, you'll find it probably one of the most inclusive countries you will ever visit because people just get on. They will make fun. They will have a laugh at you, what your name is, what you're about. But essentially, they've got your back. And that's what I love about Scotland. St. Pauli, is that right?
Yeah.
Is that in Italy? I can't speak any Italian. I really should because of my ancestry.
It's simple. Firstly, you turn your hand upside down like this.
Yeah. Oh, what do you got to do about it? What is it?
That was terrible.
No. Where is the pizza?
You said that. No?
I did. I love it. Just stereotyping of poor Italians. I love you all. I do. Because you're a nice, lovely, warm people. But yeah, we've got people. We have Harold in. Harold just said that he's looking at his Harold is on looking at from his veranda in Norway. I mean, I'm so jealous, Harold. Like, I wish I was in Norway. Like, my kids actually, one of their big trips that they would like to do is to go to Iceland and go to Norway. So I'd love to go see Norway. Actually, I'd love to see Norway. I haven't seen it because you think, oh, well, it's more north and we're cold. But actually, I'd love to
they don't mind the cold. They just don't. I think
I don't mind the cold either.
And this dog as well. I mean, she'll be fine.
Tomato paella. Yeah. Guys, when my first ever job was working for an Italian in a ice cream cafe place in Guruk.
This is Slag Italians evening.
It is Slag Italians. I love you, Gianluca. Because he's going to watch it, because that's what Gianluca speaks like. Sorry. Love you, Gianluca, but you do speak like that. What's the matter with you? That's more of an kind of American thing. Like, forget about it. Maybe. See, Jen's like, I get it. Okay. And when I speak in the German accent, I just sound a little like a homosexual.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I do.
You just sounded French there.
No, if I speak in French, I speak more at the back of my throat. But if I speak Deutsch, we must have more. Like, I either sound like a dominatrix or I sound like a gay person. It's like this weird thing that Germans have. This night is
I can see this video
falling.
being deleted.
We just like deteriorated right down. We must not mention the war.
It's like with the American police here, the way we're profiling
Any Faulty
today.
Towers fans will get that. We must not mention the war. Yeah, you get it? Which is actually, see, whenever I'm in Germany, I do this thing and I'm like, right, okay.
Well, that's why she wants to go to Germany, because all the trees that the French planted for the German troops.
Don't even give me that joke. Don't even do that joke. It's not funny. Like, don't even do that joke. It's not funny. Like, don't even try it. It is really funny, but it's not at the same time. It's not funny. It's not funny at all.
Time's passed.
It is past. So for dinner we have macaroni with gravy. Shut up in your face.
For dinner we have macaroni with gravy. That's right. And that is the beautiful
things about Scotland.
Smashing into one another of different cultures in the place.
What did I have for my meal after having Rowan? So when you have your baby, I had my baby obviously here, nearly 14 years ago. And they say to you, okay, you can have your meal. What do you want to have for your dinner? And I was like, what did I say?
Guess. Pizza with gravy?
No. No.
Deep fried pizza and gravy?
No, I got macaroni and chips.
Macaroni and chips.
I had macaroni and chips as my first meal after having my baby. That's proper Scottish right there.
Yeah. But Jen, see, my favorite thing is because we worked in the call center, and what happened was a majority of the folk that they got in there was from all over Europe.
Yeah.
Big groups from Italy, from France, everywhere. Right?
All over Europe. Yeah.
And a lot of them, although a requirement was that their English was of a certain level, that didn't really happen because they needed a lot of people. A lot of people turned over, right? So a lot of the French and Italians and Spanish didn't know English when they came here. So they learned all their English in Greenock with the accent and everything. So you can imagine after, those that stayed and that learned English, the way they spoke, this Italian, Greenockian, Glaswegian.
It's true because
accent,
all my French
Brilliant.
People, like I had this wee saying, I don't even know why I used to say it, but I used to call everybody a cheeky bum. Like, you're a cheeky bum. And that was like something I used to say. And then all the French people I knew just started using it. They were like, you cheeky bum. And it was just something that was very personal to the way I spoke. But I have like Antoine and Jerome, like that was their go-to. And Antoine, if you're watching, I love you. Antoine's over in Madrid in Spain, but he's from Dieppe in Normandy. And we've got Jerome, who's in Paris. and he married a lovely Mexican girl, and he still lives in Paris. So I will be coming to Paris at once time, Jerome, and I am going to request accommodations. And his dad's a chef, and Jerome is also a very good chef. So that's what I remember. If it wasn't for those men, I wouldn't know you. They were my friends in Largs.
Yeah, but I didn't know you through them.
No, but that's why I was there at the time.
No, but that's not why you were in IBM, though.
No, true. But that's why I was in Largs. Having a visit. Hi, Helmut. So, 15 years later, and we're still together, which is quite incredible.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I know, he's like that. She's still not got a Dirndl. She still doesn't speak German, right?
People think I drink whiskey because I like whiskey. It's actually because it helps me cope.
So I told you really enjoyed the haggis. Haggis is something, and I can say it as a Scottish person, I hate haggis. I hate it. But Helmut likes it. My kids love it. I just don't like haggis. I have to say it. I'm the worst tour guide in Scotland because I don't like haggis and I don't like whiskey. But there you go.
It's because you don't put the two together.
No, it's because they're rank.
It's funny enough.
So you're learning Gaelic with Duolingo. I'm going to start learning Gaelic with Duolingo too. Helmut's already been doing a lot of that.
Yeah,
Our kids, our children go to the Gaelic medium education, so they are pretty much fluent speakers. We are not, though. Yeah, we need to do a lot more to get up to speed.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, yeah. When I was... we were talking about Italian earlier because I had Italian friends. Within 6 months, I had
reasonable
rough conversations with them, right? I mean, especially when I had a few beers, I could do it, right? But I understood it. It clicked. The words made sense. The structure of the sentences made sense. Gaelic's just like, boom.
It's because it's a totally different language construct. See, once you get it, because like you guys probably don't know this, I was a linguist. So I studied languages, whereas Helmut was very lucky. He was born in South Africa to parents who were German, and his family members around him spoke English, and he went to an Afrikaans school. So he had 3 languages around him 24/7, which he was able to use, and he is now completely fluent. Helmut is completely, like, English isn't his first language. If I spoke to a 5-year-old Helmut, he wouldn't be speaking English to me right now.
I would, actually.
Well, you would. Sorry, you would, because of your cousins. But the thing is, he wouldn't...
It's called a prodigy.
But he does speak 3 languages absolutely fluently, no problem whatsoever. Whereas myself, I had a thing for language, and I spoke French and German, and I managed to get on with my French very well. So I used to work for the French department here in IBM, and I think you think mein Deutsch ist nicht so schlecht.
No, it's okay.
Mein Deutsch is okay.
It's okay.
I can understand German more than I can speak it. My grammar in German is totally apocalyptic.
We need to address this whole haggis issue, because I get itchy when people say they don't like something, and so it's just like whiskey. Like, there's a time, a place, a situation, a surrounding, something when you do something again that suddenly goes, oh, okay, that's fine. So for those who've tried haggis and didn't like it, here's a suggestion. Don't cook it the way it says, and don't eat it in a restaurant, except maybe Deanston Distillery. Take the haggis, break it up like mince, fry it like mince, fry it dry in a pan, and try it then. Okay. The other thing that you should do is make your own whiskey sauce. Easy as pie, right? You buy.
I like your whiskey sauce, but with chicken.
It works for pork as well. You take cheap whiskey, White Horse, whatever, cheap a blend, right? The cheapest you can find. Well, not the cheap, not Cathy Sarks, because they have a really shit taste to them. But a half decent brand, but a cheap kind of blend. Put about a centimeter to a centimeter and a half in a saucepan. Boil it, light it, and it's gonna go like, all right, it's gonna burn. So be sure you're in a safe place. It's gonna put a good meter and a half flame, right? But it's worth it. Trust me on this. It's gonna burn, and then wait till it burns down all the way to like just a little blue flame that dances. And then when that's done, you dump in like a Dijon mustard or something like that. And
True words.
Yeah, true words. And you dump Dijon mustard and salt and pepper to taste, and you're finished. And you pour that over.
Hi, Tony. Wahre Wörter. Ich kann die deutsche Führung machen. Aber
Yes, Helen, but in Balmoral chicken, they also add cream, which is fine, but you do that to taste. You can do that yourself. Sorry.
Aber
and it's chicken Balmoral.
Chicken Balmoral.
The German in me.
In meiner Meinung, Haggis ist nicht so. Schmeckt nicht gut. Schmeckt nicht gut.
Nein, Haggis, du kaufst. Haggis is another thing about haggis is you buy the most expensive. Haggis isn't expensive, but you buy the most expensive.
Ist nicht so teuer.
It's nicht so teuer, aber du.
Das ist eine Deutsche hier.
Du kaufst das teuerste. Also nicht das billigste, aber das ist nicht teuer. And the best thing to do, and the best thing to do is that you buy it from a butcher if you can, because some butchers make it themselves.
Auf Deutsch?
Von einem Metzger. Kauf es von einem Metzger hier in Schottland.
Ja.
Aber in Amerika kriegst du es sowieso nicht. Also.
In Amerika, das ist nicht okay.
It is now. They have lifted
verboten.
They lifted the ban, but you're still not going to get it. There's some that get the tins, but this is super important. Don't buy cheap. Don't buy the tins. Read the label. You'll see that the tins are not haggis. They are pig's ears and all sorts of things. You've got to look at the ingredients. It has to be sheep, lung, liver, heart, etc. The McSween is really good. What's the other one? The Grants is okay, but if you've got a good local butcher, it's perfect. McCaskey's is amazing, absolutely amazing. But everything they sell is expensive. But
I'm not a fan of haggis, and that's because, as you all know, I was also born in the Republic of South Africa, and I came to Scotland when I was 9 years of age. And my grandfather was like, haggis, here, have some haggis, have some haggis, have some haggis. And I was like, what is this? And I think it's just something that's got into my head. Basically, in the nicest possible way.
So what Katrina is saying is she doesn't eat haggis because she grew up in South Africa.
Pretty much.
In South Africa, you eat a lot of things.
I do. I eat.
That is 10 times worse than haggis.
No, I don't. I eat actual meat that's just been dried.
Yeah, you're one of those children who didn't know where the milk comes from, by the sounds of it.
No, I did, because I used to live on a farm in Africa.
Well, then eat haggis.
I remember my dad once killing a chicken, and then we had to eat it, and he didn't pluck it right. Like, I remember all these things. Like, these are things from my childhood in South Africa. It was a very plucky chicken. Yes, Shell, that was yours. Did you see that? I just poured Shell's whiskey. What am I talking about? Gin? Because it is the gin night. This is the Hollywood gin, and it was Shell herself who gave this to us.
That's right, John. You can't catch a haggis. You need to shoot them.
No, you can catch them. You can catch them. You just have to run the opposite direction. Because remember, the haggis have got one leg that's shorter than the other.
That's right. But in the southern hemisphere, you do it the other way around again.
Yeah. Oh, I don't really want to eat scrapple either, Jen. Like, that sounds awful.
No, apparently scrapple is very similar.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I don't like haggis.
Yeah. I mean,
I like beef to be beef. I don't like organs. I don't eat any organs.
nobody eats organs. They're too big, too much wood and ivory.
Oh my God. He's just so bad. His jokes are like the worst thing ever. I like that you like that, Kim, but I just don't like that kind of stuff at all. Oh, and do you know what we have? We have mini shortbread. So shortbread is something we give all our guests on our tours. And they're basically the best stuff ever. So this is shortbread. And I'm so sorry. Es tut mir leid. Je suis désolée. But
This goes very well with whiskey.
Whiskey. Shortbread. It's not very good for a diet though. So my diet's kind of out the window tonight because I've been drinking gin. But tomorrow I'm going to have to work out extra hard. Going to go for a 4-hour walk. And then I'm going to be doing some yoga. What's that?
Jen. Where's Jen from? Sounds like she's from Scotland.
No, Jen's from the US.
Yeah, but her mother sounds like she's
From
Scotland.
New York area.
Dip it in flour and fry it.
I'd like that. This is really good shortbread. This is really good shortbread. It's from Marks and Spencer. No, it's not. It's really crumbly. So you're getting both a whiskey and a shortbread. These are really good. These are probably the best shortbread I've had in ages.
No, they are nice.
This is from
Wild.
I got this like New Jersey. See, I knew I was in the right area there, Jen. This is amazing. Scottish roots.
That's where the frying comes from.
So
if you can eat it, you can fry it.
So ich denke nicht für morgen. Ich denke nicht für morgen. Is that right? Sort of. It kind of makes sense. So she's got red hair. He had red hair. But it's now gone white.
I was a Sam, but then, age and stuff. This one here.
Vielen Dank, Toni, vielen Dank. See?
What's she saying?
Sehr gut.
Das ist sehr gut.
Mein Deutsch?
Dein Deutsch is okay. Patty, I think it'll take time for haggis to come through.
I love tablet too.
But from what I've heard, actually, from a couple of people that I've had not this year, obviously, last year.
Dankeschön.
Is that because British beef, a lot of meat from Britain was sanctioned in the US because of what happened because of mad cow 15 years ago.
And it was also foot and mouth.
Which is hilarious because you guys want to sell us like chlorinated chicken and stuff. But anyway, let's not go there. No,
good night, John. Good night,
good
John.
Night. But apparently, some of the Scottish associations, especially the ones that do the Highland Games and stuff, right? In some parts of the southeast
of US
did actually have haggis and had it important. I don't know if they did it under the table or what, but apparently there was stuff going around. So I think if you dig deep, you might be able to find some.
Yeah.
And the other option is to go.
Do you know, actually, Helen, my favorite butcher is actually now in Paisley.
Yeah.
He's called Phelps Butcher, and I go there because he does South African stuff. But he also has the best kind of mince and like black puddings and all that kind of stuff. He's amazing. So I go to Paisley for
We've not tried
my...
this haggis though. We need to maybe
I've
get
not
some
tried.
haggis.
I maybe buy some haggis. I'm going. We are off work because if anyone doesn't know, Helmut and I have started a new job on Thursday this week. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday off. Tomorrow or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Sorry, Annie. Before this goes away, Kim. Good, but just look at the ingredients list of what's actually in it and make sure that you're okay with it, because I know that especially the tent stuff can be not what you actually wanting to buy. But anyway, it's just a...
Yeah, I think as I was saying, what was I saying about Paisley? What was I saying about Paisley?
Oh yeah, and the Paisley, their meat is really good. I mean, obviously we go there for they import certain South African products, and they make like the South African version of beef jerky, which is a salty version, not a sweet version. And they have South African sausages, which are based around coriander. And
we want to kind of get into this because Helen and I have actually started, and my plan for 2021, although I'm probably going to push it for 2022, was to do a special tour to South Africa. And
yes, Helen.
The idea was to take everybody on a tour of a country that we know. So you could get the best of South Africa, including an outlander location. because we were driving past and our guide was like,
"Yeah, we can go lekker to the place down in Cape Town."
No, what did he say? No, what did he say when we're driving past? He's like, "Oh yeah, that's where what's the Black Sails was filmed." I was like, "Stop the bus, stop the car." And I got out and I took a picture, and I had the picture where they filmed the Jamaica scenes for Outlander when I was in South Africa. But
you have this massive state-of-the-art fancy studio on one side of the motorway, and on the other side of the motorway, one of the most deprived, crime-ridden... It is true though.
Please,
no, you gotta be honest.
No, come on.
In the world, on the other side,
God.
It's like, whoa, okay, but don't worry,
Anyway,
it's all good.
So the plan was to do a South Africa tour.
Sorry, was this not a good sales pitch?
No, it really wasn't. No, honestly,
we'll be fully armed when we take
No. We know where we're going. And so if anyone wants to see Africa and do safari and have a local guide take you and us, we're going to do the wine estates. We did some wine tasting, didn't we? That was awesome.
Oh my God, yeah.
Best wine ever.
And I'll do the barbecue.
What was the name of the place called again that we went?
It was a small
one that we went. This is what it's like.
See, the thing about it is when it's a bit like California, right? So Californian wines are amazing, right? Chilean wines are amazing. South African wines are amazing. The problem is that you don't get the good stuff overseas. You got to be in South Africa to get the good wine, really good wine. So
2022, Patty, are you going to come to South Africa with me? Like anyone who wants to come to South Africa with me, put your name in the comments now because I'm going. We're going to do safari in a non-malaria region. We're going to do, we're going to do Table Mountain, which is epic as hell. We're going to do Cape Town, so we're going to do the main sites in Cape Town.
We've got pictures of how old was she? 4 when she was bitten by the wee lion cub?
Yeah, she was 5, was 5? She? Yeah, we're going to go see some baby lions. We're going to do baby lions. We're going to do elephants at Addo. We're going to do the garden routes. You're going to go through the Tsitsikamma forest.
And we're going to teach Americans how to braai.
Do you know the funniest thing for me was when we were in South Africa last year, we stopped at this place because the guide that we have is a friend who's going into this business with us. And he was saying to us, don't go down to Boulders Beach. So Boulders Beach is where they have all the penguins in South Africa. And, you know, in Cape Town, the wee Cape penguins that you see. And we were like, right, that's fine. And he took us to this other place. Where was that? I can't even remember now.
It was the beach right next to Boulders Beach.
It was nearby anyway.
It's just down south.
I've just forgotten the name off the top of my head.
What was it called?
And we went in there, and we were walking down, and there was a little penguin just sitting in a storm drain. Just a penguin in the friggin' storm drain. It was like the coolest thing. And my daughter, as we were running down, my youngest daughter, who must have been 6 at the time, was running down, and it's like a hill that goes down towards the beach, and she fell and she scraped her knee. And we went to this place on the beach for lunch, and I spoke to the staff, and they got her some plasters and some stuff to disinfect her knee while we were waiting for our lunch. And I went to the bathroom to get it on her, and there was a group of Americans in there, and I just felt like, am I at work? Yeah. And I was like, you need to come to Scotland. Come to Scotland next time. But
now picture this. There's like it's a swimming beach, and then there's like a little cornered off region, because although the penguins, they walk up the street and they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But they don't want you, there's like these boulders and stuff, and the penguins are sunning themselves. So I put my youngest on my back, and we swim to maybe 2-3 meters from where the penguins are sitting, sunning themselves. I mean, what an experience. So Patty, I think I said that I'll teach you guys how to barbecue.
Yes, the barbecue specialist over here. No, this is the thing. We're planning to do it. I got quite a lot of interest, and I think the thing is, if you want to go to Africa, you want to be safe, and we know how you can be safe. I planned our last trip. I was born there. Helmut was born there. We have friends and family there still. We know the country. We know what it's like.
If our relationship,
I know Patty's like that. Patty, I love Patty. Like, she's the best. She's the most beautiful 60-year-old, 62-year-old you'll ever meet in your whole life.
Well, Patty, you know what? Here's what we'll do. The best solution to this is that we both try and outdo each other with barbecues. I can see that can only result.
Honestly,
in one big,
can you imagine sitting in the African savannah, making a fire, looking at the elephants?
And we can have buffalo, we can have kudu, we can have springbok, we can have impala, we can have what's the wee pig called in thingy?
A warthog.
We can have warthog.
What?
What else can we have? We can even have baboon, but
zebra,
crocodile,
elephant.
No.
People do have elephant though.
Yeah,
like the thing is though, you go there and it is the most diverse country, and I'm so lucky, and I say this to everybody I'm on tour with in Scotland, I'm so lucky to be from Africa and to be from Scotland. There is like,
yes, warthog.
If you go to South Africa, if you go down into the Savannah region or into the Kruger, Africa literally steals a piece of your heart, and it will always stay with you. And it's the same thing with Scotland. Like, Africa will always remain in my heart, as will Scotland.
The gauntlet has been thrown down. The gloves are off.
So Patty's always wanted to go.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Patty, like, honestly, we are going to organise. We're not going to do it. It's not going to be me guiding. I'll be organising other people.
No, we get Alex to guide.
We're going to get Alex or Donovan.
Donovan, you're going to be in really safe
Oh my
hands.
God, like, it was the funniest thing, because we had him as our private guide for 3 days, and he is, or 2 days, he is a friend of Helmut's, well, a cousin of Helmut's.
No, he is
married to the cousin of Helmut's friend.
But he did a couple of tours in Afghanistan. He knows his way. So
he's an ex-military.
He's ex-military. He's survival. You name it.
He does the wilderness stuff.
Terribly safe. With
surfer. Like, he does all of that stuff.
And he's incredibly nice.
Oh, he's the kindest. we were sitting there at like 9 o'clock at night having a burger or whatever it was. And I was like, I feel really bad because I know what it's like to be in his shoes right now. And he was the kindest, nicest soul.
Loveliest guy.
And we are going to do that. So if you want to go to Africa, you message me on here and we are going to make it happen. Not in 2021. It might be a bit too soon for people. But in 2022, we are going to make it happen. We're going to do safari. We're going to do wine tasting. We're going to do Cape Town. We're going to have the most...
We're going to do the garden route.
The garden route. And we're going to do the stop on there.
If possible, although he was saying that the sharks were not there for some reason. The sharks have been disappearing, but great white.
Oh yeah, great
shark
white shark water diving. Patty, bring your daughter and her husband and your husband. And honestly, it's a trip that everybody does once in their life. For us, we do it every couple of years. We're very lucky to be able to say that. But it is one of those places you get there. And I think from an Outlander perspective, Africa just literally steals a piece of your heart. It's just one of those things. Like you go out into the bush. Like we were on a walk yesterday and we went down the street. We came back and we had that smell. And both of us were like, oh, we're back home. Like we're back in South Africa. Like it was the most incredible thing. But likewise, Scotland is my home, as is Africa. I'm very lucky to call those two places, whereas Helmut's lucky to say South Africa, Germany, and Scotland. But no, if you're interested in Africa, we will definitely organise whatever you want. I started off my career in tourism as a South African advice website person so that I could give some good advice for people so that you could save money.
I think it is worthwhile saying very early on that this can't be a trip shorter than 2 weeks. It has to be 2 weeks, literally minimum.
I think it would be, you would need to take at least 4 weeks. And the reason why I say 4 weeks is because you're traveling very far away from most people. Like unless you're in Africa, you're traveling far. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime trip, so you're going to have to save your money for it. Cape Town, you need at least 3 or 4 days. Like we only had 2 days in Cape Town, and it just wasn't enough. Safari, you want at least 4 to 5 days on safari. You want to do the garden route. Usually, I would recommend people to do the garden route for at least 2 weeks because you've got it just steals a piece of your heart. And whenever I go there, I'm like, oh, I just love it. I was born and I lived in a place in South Africa called Kyalami. And I was born in the African summer. So it was 35 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius out there. I spent 2 years of my life completely naked because it was so warm. The baboons running around. It was just the most epic experience. As my life progressed, my father lived in a farm kind of experience, and I spent most of my time outdoors, you know, understanding what snakes and spiders I shouldn't be touching and all that kind of stuff. And I also lived in suburbia, so I got both aspects of the real South African experience. So when I came to Scotland, I did find it very difficult because I went from a really open environment to a really closed one. But I am so lucky to be from both places. And like I was saying to Helmut, the last trip we did, I organised it pretty much all, from all the accommodation, flights, everything.
That was good.
And we stayed in Kimberley. Like, you would be like, what is this, Catriona? Like, what are you doing to this? But I will save you a ton of money going to South Africa because I know where to go, where to stay. You're going to have the same experiences as you usually would. You'll have people who know the country, who know what to deal with, who know what not to deal with, to know what to watch out for. We first stayed in Kimberley, which is famous for the biggest hole, for the big diamond mines, and it's amazing. Like, I've never seen anything like it. I went to Kimberley apparently when I was very, very young, but I can't remember it. That was the next time I went. And we went and we spent 3 nights. We spent New Year's actually in Kimberley. And we had barbecues. Like, there's no racial issue for us. We are so involved. We like just don't care who you are or what you are. We had such a good time. We were like the only white faces there, and it was probably one of the best times. We were so welcomed into their group, weren't we? Swimming, everything. Like, it was the most epic experience. Going to see the Kimberley, the big hole, driving through the Kuru Desert on the way down to Beaufort West, staying in Beaufort West, staying at a place which was probably one of the best bed and breakfast experiences I've ever had in my life. The woman who's the wife, and I didn't know this, she was educated by my aunt who sadly recently passed away.
Crazy. She was educated by a teacher that I also had.
Yeah.
Who was the boss of. I had her in primary school. Then she was educated, and then she went to Sasselberg, which is our neighboring town. And it's crazy how small the world is. That was. I remember that.
Yeah, and I was taught she knew my aunt. My aunt sadly died a couple of years ago from cancer, so that's why we were there a couple of years ago. But that was an amazing experience.
And wasn't it? Wait a minute. Wasn't that somebody was? Oh no, that was at the school. That was at school where one of them was my old principal's
that was
son.
That was like that was when she died.
Crazy.
No, when we went back the last time, we did the whole kind of let's take the kids for a nice time sort of thing. And we stayed in Beaufort West, and really we should have stayed more than one night. We only stayed for one night.
Well, we went to Beaufort West, was where the Barnard was born. The
guy who did the first heart transplant,
and all his gear and everything was amazing. There. And a little museum for him. I mean,
but the place we stayed was epic. Like, it had a swimming pool. The people who we were staying with were actually Scottish as well. Like, originally, the old guy, he hadn't been to Scotland for 20 years, and where was he from? He was from like Dundee or something.
Where? Beaufort West.
At Beaufort West, the wee guy. Remember, they had 2 golden retrievers, and he was.
Oh, the guy who stayed there, who was from.
He was from like Dundee. He was from Fife somewhere.
He was from Fife. He was from Burnt
Island. Yes, he's from Burnt Island.
Yeah.
He was the sweetest old guy, and he loved Scotland, and he hadn't been for ages. So he was like, "You've got a Scottish accent. This is amazing."
Yeah.
And we stayed there. So really, we should have probably stayed there for 2 nights. I think.
No,
2 or 3 nights.
Well,
because we could have done something in the Karoo.
Yeah.
That would have been nice.
No, we should have stayed in Oudtshoorn. We should have concluded that. That's what we should have done.
Oh no, that was on the other way.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think that we should have added maybe 1 or 2 nights.
We were driving like for 5 hours between each point.
Yeah.
But we stayed in Franschhoek, which is where you'll see the wine. Yeah. And we stayed on the wine estate itself, where they have the horses. It's like a horse equestrian estate and a wine estate, and that was just amazing.
That's right, Christian Barnard.
Thank you, Helen. We stayed where we went into his old wee house.
Yeah.
And it was.
I mean, obviously, we growing up in South Africa, you know about Christian Barnard. Like, he's like the main man. It's like, look what we did, in the 60s. I mean, if you go through the museum, you realize that it wasn't that much of a success. You know what I'm saying?
At first,
like,
at least.
The first few were like, one lived 20 days, the other guy lived a little bit longer.
But it was amazing.
And we've got pictures of the gear, right?
Yeah.
You should see what these guys did a heart transplant with. It's like, we were talking about butchers earlier. Well, there you go.
Well, the thing is, like, when we went, we stayed at Franschhoek, and the thing that was amazing about Franschhoek is it was just unbelievably beautiful. Like, I can't
Franschhoek.
put the
And
beauty
the
of
Hacks
that
River
place
Valley.
in words. Like the Hex River Valley, yeah, it was just mountains,
Mountains and vineyards in
Oh,
between, and
just
like
spectacular.
as if it was sculpted. You
Yeah.
know? Wow. And Franschhoek.
Oh, and the people we stayed with were immense. So we would obviously be doing something similar. And if we were doing this, we wouldn't be staying in hotels. Like, look, guys, you don't stay in hotels in these places. You stay in self-caterings on an estate.
Self-caterings. And the reason you do is because there you can have your big barbecues.
We're going to have big barbecues every night.
Yeah.
The place we stayed, where we stayed in Franschhoek, we had access to we had the swimming pool. We had a walk down. I had horses coming to say good morning to me every morning. And there was a place right across from us.
Thoroughbreds, not some farm.
Oh no, like they are like top end horses, like very posh. We did all the wine estates because we have our private guide. We'll take Alex with us. We went up to Table Mount. We did the whole of Cape Town. We did another day. We went. Where did we go? Like, I can't even remember.
Day one, we went to two or three different beaches, including.
We went to like
Simonstown.
We went to Simon's. Was it no? I think we went to Simonstown the next day.
Yeah,
anyway, we went to like all sorts of places, and the thing, like, I know what I'm doing. I know who I'm talking to. I know the states. I used to be a travel agent for South Africa and the Middle East, so I know a lot of these people like personally. And it's just like epic. We then did the garden route, so we drove from Franschhoek through to Knysna, and my aunt and my grandfather actually live in Knysna. My uncle, should say, my uncle actually lives between Cape Town and Knysna. And we had dinner we had breakfast. We had a kind of breakfast lunch with my uncle. My uncle drove all the way in his motorbike.
Well, that was a great place where we stopped.
We stopped. That was in Knysna. No, that was in Franschhoek.
Oh, that's right. Still in Franschhoek.
That was still in Franschhoek. My uncle came to meet us on his motorbike because I haven't seen my uncle by that point. He's my dad's big brother for years, and so we met him and we had a milkshake for the kids, and it was great. I was at the station bar or something it was called. And he is actually a prop guy. He manages a prop company who deals with film and TV. So he obviously organised a lot of Outlander, Black Sails, a lot of those things. So that's my uncle over in Africa. And he's proper happy, like on his motorbike and that, like he's having the best life. And my grandfather, David, still lives in Knysna now. And so we went to Knysna, we rented a place there, and it was just like out of this world. We had our own private pool. It was 3-bedroom.
Every room had its own spider.
Every room had its own spider. No, every room had its own ensuite.
Every room had its own spider. There was this big spider this size in every single room.
If somebody might have watched my Facebook on that, you can actually film the spider falling, and it actually makes a proper bang. But it's non-poisonous. They're properly not problematic spiders. And when we were in Knysna, we did the whole, what did we do? We did the heads of Knysna, the Knysna heads, which are famous. I went for lunch with my granddad and my cousins.
And that's when we went to the safari drive.
And we did the safari drive. We went to Port Elizabeth. That's where Helmut got a speeding ticket. Yes, he did.
No, it could have been you as well.
No, we went to Safari Park. We went to the Port Elizabeth Safari Park, which is not like a proper safari park. It was just for a day. If we were going to stay for a couple of days, we'd probably go elsewhere like Addo or Karicha or Shamwari. We'd probably go to one of those. But they're a bit more expensive than what we had. Patty, like I'm debating. I'm thinking like we went to Africa in December. We went to Africa previously before that in February. The problem with those months is that it's still season, it's still kind of summer. So for in terms of safari, it's not that great, but it's still like, it's very hot, so it's very comfortable. If you go in the winter, so if you go at this time of year, so June, July, August, it's winter, so it can actually go below minus.
Nights are cold, days are usually okay.
Days are, but it's the nights that are the problem.
Yeah, but you take
see a
off
lot
clothes
more
and
animals.
You've got a fire going. But the thing is that it's winter that you see the animals. In summer, they hide in the bushes and they hide away. If you don't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to the watering holes, you're not going to see anything.
Oh, Patty, I'm so excited. I'm going to
But if you go in winter, also because it's dry in winter, you go to the watering holes and you've got a good chance to see the big five minimum.
Helmut likes to go when I met Helmut, because he was obviously also born in Africa. And he usually goes in like October. October was a good time to go.
We went
in autumn.
We kind of went as it suited certain other aspects. It wasn't really for to see animals. End of winter is best, but you don't have that African summer then either, and you won't be able to go swimming and stuff like that unless it's a heated pool. So it's a bit of a trade-off. If you go to these fancy safari, these high-end safari places, they will make sure you see the big five. They've got trackers and they've got you go out on the drives and they'll take you to where the animals are. And
I know some of these guys. I know two guys who do walking tours in the Kruger National Park. They are incredibly experienced, proper guides. They know what they're doing. But we do always suggest you go in the winter time, in terms of their winter time, so that you can see what you want to see. I'm sure, Patty, like you're in California, I'm sure you can deal with not having a swim, but it depends on what you're willing to trade off.
If we went to Natal, if we actually did Natal in winter and the game parks there, you would.
But the problem is you still have a problem with having to get jags and stuff for malaria.
No, not in Natal.
Yes, you do.
No,
yes,
you do. Natal.
Okay, well, like at the end of the day,
only up at St.
Well, that's where you want to be. Like at the end of the day, like you want to be. You want to be in Africa. You want to be in the sunshine. I would say we usually went, because of the nature of school holidays and parents being off, we always went in the summertime in Africa, which was December, January. It works quite well, and like we saw everything. I mean, we saw cheetah, we saw lion.
Yeah, but we went where they were kind of
almost caged. I mean, I suppose if you go to the Kruger, like I know I've got contacts who can like help you, but you could go to the Kruger for like
I think
2 weeks and not see anything. Like that's the problem.
Yes, but if you've got money, you go on the drives or you go on the ranger walks, and they will.
But that's what we were looking for.
They will take you to where the animals are. You'll see them.
What I have in my head is that when we go to do Africa, I'm not going to be your guide. I'll be there to help, like a tour leader sort of thing. But I'll get local guides who know everything, who can help us out at every single place. I know the country, I know the landscape, I know what we want to see. So that's what I would bring to it. But essentially, what I'm thinking of is that we take self-catering for the majority of the time, so that we can save money as much as we can, so that when we do need to spend it, we spend it in the right places. So if you go to like, I don't know, like Sabi Sands is like the top end location within the Kruger National Park, where you can pretty much guaranteed to see something. You've got the plunge pools, you've got like watering holes right next to where you're staying, you've got 24 access, you've got the bomas where you go down and you have your braais and your barbecues. It's a really amazing experience. So you spend your money there. So it's about what you spend your money on and what you don't spend your money on. So, and you still have the same experience. So if you go to the Kruger, you go and do like Sabi Sands or one of their private game reserves. And then when you carry on with us, you go and do the self-catering, and you get a chance to save some money with us by not having to spend too much money on having basically a maid service or having somebody cook your meals for you. You can go to a local supermarket, get your items of food that you would like, and you're pretty much set and off you go. And it's still stunningly beautiful. We still choose the right places. Helmut does the best barbecues out there. So he's happy if he's there. If you've got any husbands or guys with you, if you're females who like that kind of thing, you hang with him, and you're going to have a good time. And the best meat, I mean, it really is the most amazing country. And I hope I'm selling it to you, but really,
Patty,
I'm hoping that we keep, from my own point of view, I want to keep costs down. If you look, I mean, I used to sell South Africa to clients who are doing honeymoons. You couldn't get anything under £5,000.
yeah.
And that was only for like a 2-week stay. And that was 3-star accommodation. The way we see it, we had probably the best trip of our lives the last time we went, didn't we?
That was, yeah.
And it was because I carefully planned where we were going to stay. I carefully planned everything to a T, and we had the best time. The accommodations some of them weren't luxury, but they were absolutely what we needed.
Yeah, and I think that's important to explain. If something is 3 stars in Scotland, for example, it would be 1 star in South Africa. If something is 5-star here, it would be like 3 stars in South Africa. And what I mean by that is like maybe it has something to do with the history of the place, whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is that what you get there for your money is so much more than you get anywhere else. And the other thing about South Africa is that everything is geared for using and abusing the sunshine. And anyway, so if you have a self-catering, the chances that you're going to have a nice big area to barbecue is pretty much 99%. You know, there will be a place to buy really good meat and everything else that you need, fresh fruit and vegetables close by. So this idea of keeping costs down, you don't have to go thrift there, and even thrift is usually pretty damn comfortable. It might not be luxurious in the sense of being fancy schmancy, but it'll be comfortable. And that's the way we kind of went last time. Is we had one place was really nice. It was a really big place. But the reason we booked that is because we thought some of our family was going to come with us. So we booked a bigger place than we needed because we thought we were going to have more bodies. So it is one of those places which everything is about, you know, sunshine, enjoying the sunshine, barbecuing, being outside. And that's why I don't like hotels there, because hotels actually, in my personal opinion, do the opposite. They keep you away from the outside. Hotel rooms and restaurants, you don't need them, not there. And the restaurants are amazing anyway. Even the kind of cheap family restaurants are probably more like the American style restaurants than they are, for example, the ones here. Portions are big, food is cheap, service is amazing, variety. So it's not difficult to save money there. And then you've got the added bonus is that everybody that goes there is working with the exchange rate in their favor. So, I mean, the last time we went, which was last year, January, February, the exchange rate was, we got 18 Rand for a pound. So 18 Rand for every pound. So for us, it worked out that if we go here with 5 of us and we eat something, and just to try and give an explanation of spending power, if when we go here with the whole family to a half decent restaurant, we all have a meal and we all drink something, and I might have a beer, maybe two, etc., we'll probably be spending about 70 to 80 pounds for the family. Whereas there, converted back, we spent around 20 to 30 pounds for the family, and that is then going full on, like drinks and ice creams and desserts and starters and everything. So it's uncomparable. We spend more than that here if we just go and get a basic McDonald's. So it just gives you an idea of spending power there. So costs are low anyway because of the exchange rate. The biggest cost is if you flights, depending on the time of the year, that would be the biggest cost. And the other cost is if you do go fancy, because if you go fancy in South Africa, you go fancy. I mean, literally, they'll do all but wipe your butt there. So, and you just don't need that. So, you can save a lot of money. And the other trick is that you have to be clever in the way that you book. There are definitely two different prices for locals and foreigners, for sure. So the way that you book, you have to be clever about it. And that's where people like ourselves and the likes of Donovan and Soton come in. Yeah,
Phew.
it's late. It's 22:1. It's nearly 3 hours.
I know, we need to call it a day. We ended up talking about Africa more than anything. But essentially, it was whiskey, where we come from, and a little bit of Africa.
I wish they could see this dog sleeping here.
I know, she's having a nice sleep.
Due to glory.
So, if you are wanting to go to Africa, if you are wanting to come to Scotland, obviously we are here. If you want to go to Africa, obviously we are also here. And we're planning a big trip for 2022 where we're going to take enough people and it's going to be cost effective for everybody involved. So they're not spending too much money. I think with everything that has happened in the past couple of months, I think 2021 is pretty much off limits. From our perspective, we're not going to have the time to do it. But certainly for 2022, we can start planning. So if anyone has ever had Africa on their bucket list, we can do it. We can show you where Outlander was filmed. We can show you Table Mountain. We can show you the townships. We can show you safari. We can show you the bush, the African bush. And that's really what it's all about. So if you're interested in that, please do let us know. And we will organise it accordingly. Because we're just going to take on what people are saying, when their availabilities are, and we're going to organise it. So you're going to have a Scottish South African take you, with a South African German taking you, and you can learn about the diverse history of that country as well, including all the different tribal aspects. You've got the Zulus, the Xhosas, the Tutsis. Who else? Not the Tutsis.
Tutsis. Tutsis.
I'm in the wrong bloody countries. Help me here. Help me.
I know what you actually meant there, which is really bad.
Can you please help me?
Okay.
Sutus is what I meant to say. I'm often one, okay? I was thinking of Rwanda. I was thinking of Rwanda. Sorry, guys. I'm thinking about South Africa here.
It is bedtime, Patty. It really is.
Zulus and the Xhosas, and if my pals who are Xhosa are speaking out Xhosa.
North Sutu, South Sutu, Mbele, Xhosa, Zulu, Xhosa, Zulu, Venda, and then you've got obviously the Sun and the Hottentots. But I'm missing. Oh yeah, so nearly there. I think I'm missing one or two because then obviously Afrikaans and English.
Afrikaans.
There's 11 official languages.
So there you have. So you're going to get a full whack of Africa with us. My maid when I was growing up was a Xhosa. So when my little sister, my youngest sister from my mother was up to the age of 2, she spent her whole life on my Patricia's back, and she could understand Xhosa, if I can say it right. So if you know Trevor Noah, he's a Xhosa as well, and that was his mother's tongue.
And so was Nelson Mandela.
So he was a Sotho.
No, he was a Xhosa.
He was a Sotho.
He was a Xhosa.
Totally a Sotho.
Mandela was a Xhosa.
He was totally a Sotho.
Please check. Mandela was a Xhosa.
Mandela was a Sotho.
He was a Xhosa.
He was a Sotho.
No, he was a Xhosa.
Hold on a minute. Let's just see. Like, obviously, I was 9 when I left South Africa, so let's just check. Mandela. So you also get to learn a lot about Nelson Mandela. He was, I know he's from the Eastern Cape, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in the Eastern Cape.
Xhosa.
The Xhosa.
He was born in Mvezo. I can't see it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Like the thing for me is that I was born in South Africa, obviously during apartheid. I was born in 1985, and I was 9 years of. I was 8 when 1994 the democratic elections took place in South Africa, and I was still in the country at the time. And I do remember that complete change. Like, I do remember.
That was the first election I voted in. It was the first democratic elections in 1994. And that's why I like taking people to the museum.
And the thing is, like, people talk about
museum.
Black People Matters, and people were talking about taking down the Nelson Mandela Monument in London. And it's like...
Why? What?
If there's a big campaign to take down the Nelson Mandela Monument.
When? Now?
Now. Right now, there's about 100,000 signatures on it. And the thing is, like, yes, in Sizwe is the militant wing of the ANC, which is the party that Nelson Mandela was the leader of. The thing is, though, it's very hard to understand what people, like, can you imagine being a human being and not having that basic right and not having the ability to like go about your own business.
People just don't understand the difference between somebody who's fighting for freedom and somebody who's fighting to oppress people.
Yeah.
He fought for freedom no matter what. The slave owners, that statues that they're taking down, is they literally fought to oppress people. That is the difference.
The thing is, like, when I left South Africa, I was a very young child. I was only 9. But the thing is, I remember being inherently racist to my core because that is what I knew. Like, everything around me was black and white. No matter what it was black and white. And I think when I came to Scotland, I understood, like, hold on a minute, why? Like, just ask yourselves that question. Why? No matter where you are in the world, just ask yourself, why? Why should anyone be any different from you? Why should anyone expect any less than you? Why should you expect more than anybody else? Just that simple question, just always ask yourself, why? And I think that's the problem. Too many people do not ask that question, and that is why atrocities happen across the world. And I think
that is why Nelson Mandela is so important. Sorry to interrupt you, but Helen Bain said, I love Nelson Mandela. And this is what people forget about politics, especially right now. The reason Nelson Mandela is so important, he was a terrorist, and he did support an armed wing of the ANC. And they did have bombs.
And I could have been the victim of one of those bombs.
Right? Yeah. They sure did, but they were on the right side of history, and that is the important thing. They did this to free people, but more importantly, when he sat with 27, 28 years he sat.
27.
He was in prison. When he came out and he became president, he didn't do what people expected. He didn't go and say, all right, that's it. You know,
Let's do a
white
Robert
boys out.
Mugabe, yeah.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
His every mission was to console and heal wounds in that country from both sides, and to get the people to work together, and for people to understand one another, and for the country to progress as a multicultural state. Nobody's doing that now. Everybody is playing party politics. Everybody is being divisive and aggressive, and nobody is trying to say, well, I might understand where you're coming from, because Nelson Mandela, obviously, he was treated really badly for 27 years and more. And he didn't come out there with a chip on his shoulder. And if there was more Nelson Mandelas in this world, the world would be a better place. That is for sure. Right? Now, a lot of people have got issues with the man, and they might have been affected by some black person 25 years ago, and they want to keep that chip on their shoulder. That's their problem. But Nelson Mandela was there to heal something that had to be healed. South Africa had to be healed, right? Because otherwise, the thing is, you've got to remember, being white at that point in 1994, we shat our pants. Trust me, we shat our pants. You sat there and wondered, oh shit, right? Is the revenge coming? Because well, we didn't know everything. A lot of stuff was kept from the majority of people. We didn't know how bad it really was. But we all knew that this was a very, very unequal society. And when revolution happens, it can get very ugly. And I can tell you for sure, guaranteed, if it wasn't for that man, there would have been bloodshed without end in that country. So, yeah, he saved a lot of lives. And his term in office was a very important one and in fact, it was too short. Yeah. But after that, the usual politics and corruption takes in, and that's why South Africa is the way it is now. It would have been 10 times better if we had more.
But at the same time, we need to understand, when you divide people by their race, this is what you're going to have.
Yeah, it's simple.
And
there's only one outcome.
We are so lucky. I remember being in school and doing the old South African flag, because South Africa was incredibly patriotic. Always has been. And especially since it gained its own independence as a republic. And I remember being completely, my mum always tells me the story of when I was about 3 years old, an old black lady walked past us, and she noticed me. I was a little girl, and she said, she started speaking to me in Afrikaans. And I just said, I do not speak Afrikaans, I'm English. I had that kind of snobbery in me from a young child. And I think in reflection, when you leave a place, you understand how bad it is. And I do hope, and I hate to get political here, but I do hope that a lot of people around the world now look at what happened in South Africa and use it as some sort of mission on how they can move forward. At the end of the day, I could have been easily indoctrinated a racist white person, like so many people are, because Black people in South Africa culturally was seen as a lesser than for their values and what they did, and their values and what they did, really. They were seen as stupid, and they were seen as, the help and everything else. It's just not a good way of thinking and living your life, to think that any being in this planet is worth less than yourself just because of who they are or what they are. It's just a really awful thing. And I remember coming to that realization in my teens, because I didn't know any better. I just thought, this is it. South Africa is a lost cause because the black man has it. But really, at the end of the day, it was a total eureka moment for me. Like, Catriona, you were brought up. I wasn't brought up racist. It's a terrible thing to say. My parents are not racist whatsoever. But I was brought up in a society which was subliminally racist. So I always say to people, when you have like the KKK and things in America, they're outwardly racist. You know who they are, you know what they're doing. But when you have a whole society of people who are subliminally racist, so they don't necessarily do anything, but they think it. So they don't do anything to that person. They won't say anything to that person, but they think it. You're the reason for my problem. You're the reason for my problem. You're the reason for my problem. Nobody takes any responsibility for what they do or what they have. And I think that was a real moment for me to go, like, look at myself and say, you were very lucky. You were very privileged just because of the color you were born. On my birth certificate, guys, it says white. My birth certificate actually says the word white. My little sister, she was born in 1992. So this is a year, was like just before the election, but this is just after Nelson Mandela is released. They stopped putting that on it. So she has, it just crossed, like blacked out, but they still had white or non-white on the birth certificate.
Say blank, ni blank.
Well, in my case, it was in English. But I was born a white child, and I was privileged just because of the color of my skin. But this is the thing that kind of hit me really, really hard. When we were in Africa the last time, we went to a place, like I said, in Kimberley, and the thing that got me the most is being in Scotland. I have no issue with what colour, what religion, what sex, what sexual orientation you have. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. But when we were in Africa, there was a black family sitting in the foyer, and they had just booked a room before, and they needed more space for their family. And I had booked 2 rooms or 2 apartments because I thought we would have more people, but it was just us. So I only needed one person, one room or one accommodation. And they were asking for extra, and they said, the woman was saying no. And you could see her face was like, she was a white woman. She could see her face was absolutely mortified when I said, hey, have ours. Like, we don't need it. Just take ours. And it was an eye-opener for me because as a white South African in South Africa, I never socialized really with black people ever in my whole entire life. Although I did have a black
on reflection,
mate.
I don't think that was the issue. I don't think it was a race issue. I think that she was like, oh my God, I need to do extra work.
Oh no. I get that. And I think that was like, for me though, from a white South African's perspective, Helmut and I were the only white faces there at this place. We were staying apart from some of the staff.